Ha-cha-cha. Do. A-doo-be-doo-doo. A-doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah. A-doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, my. A-doo-doo-doo-doo. A-doo-doo-doo-doo. A-doo-be-doo. A-doo-doo-doo-doo. Come on now. Yes, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Why are you taking so long to load? You're slow. Why are you so slow? Damn. Never done that before. Strange, strange, strange. What's going on here? And I show I'm live, but this is acting like I'm not live. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we're going to copy that. And we're going to go here, and we're going to paste it. Hey, Max, how's it going? How's it going, sir? There we go. My Exaverse has been notified. I've been gone so long, y'all folks aren't in the habit of looking for me no more. Look at that. I've been live 3 whole minutes, and there's 3 people in here. Hi, Blaze. Where'd everybody go? Y'all don't love me no more. Don't love me no more. The South. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Blaze. Thank you so much. You notice anything different? Yeah, sometimes I miss your notification, but as soon as I see it, I jump on. And I appreciate that, sir. Yeah. That right there. That's what hard work and a $10,000 annual bonus will get you. Now, of course, I didn't spend all the bonus on that, but, the government took $3,000 of it. Government took $3,000 of it, and I spent a little over half of that on that guy, that right there. Ain't she purty? Yeah. Yeah. Got light guns, but I haven't hooked the light guns up yet. The only thing it doesn't have is a spinner control. Because for some reason, I don't know, the particular company I went through, that's a control option they don't offer. They don't give you the option for a spinner. So instead, they just take any game that uses a spinner and they map it to the trackball, and you use the trackball as a spinner instead. Weird, but it works. I don't know. But it was a full $3,000 cheaper than Retrocade's entry-level unit before you put all the extras on it. So I think I did pretty good. It's got a 43-inch screen on it. And has the MAME ROM set. I mean, it's missing a couple of games. They knew I was buying it to have the light guns on it, but for some reason, there's some light gun staples that they didn't include, like Time Crisis 2. They put House of the Dead 2 on there, but not House of the Dead 1. Carnival, or whatever that Evil Carnival game is called, that's not on there, but Area 51 is. Just weird stuff like that. What's my favorite game on it? Turtles, of course. TMNT. TMNT. It's also got 6-inch speakers with a subwoofer, powered by an amplifier. It gets loud. It's a loud little booger. I mean, I shouldn't say little. It's bigger than what I had before, which is still sitting out in the garage. And 8th likes it enough to where, he's contemplating getting his own for upstairs, but not that big. He says he'd be happy with the 32-inch model instead, which is quite a bit smaller than that one. It's about a foot narrower. But I'm really happy with it so far. We had a couple little issues with it when we first got it here. The monitor would turn on, but the actual guts of it, the pie, wouldn't turn on, and it was because they had wired it so snugly with no give in the cable, no slack in the cable, that apparently during shipping it got jostled and it just yanked the power out of the pie. So 8th had to reach back up in there and plug it back in, and then we were fine. We haven't had any other issues with it. Although, one thing we did have to do is none of the twin stick games were mapped for twin stick. So we had to call them and figure out how to manually map it to where you could use controller 1 and controller 2 to play twin stick games like Robotron, Cloak and Dagger, Smash TV, that kind of thing. So we'll be going live in about 2 minutes, and y'all can ask me any kind of questions you want about it, or questions about anything else. I know I've been gone for a while. I apologize between being called into work and being very sick at one point almost to the point where I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. It's been a rough few weeks. So I apologize for that. But I'm here now. Oh, and I got the Streamlabs link fixed. That should be working now. That should be working. Hello, Bill. How's it going? Boss Hog. I wish I had money like Boss Hog had money, but I don't. I do not, sir. I do all right for myself, but I'm not rich. You needn't worry about keep my UO appearances, sir. What? You needn't worry about keeping up. Are you saying I'm letting myself go? What are you implying, Bill? What are you trying to say, Bill? We'll be going live in 1 minute. That setup is very lavish, though. I dig it. This is just my living room. That's now my game room. No, I did not buy Assassin's Creed Shadows. I did not buy that one because 8th wanted something else. So I bought what 8th wanted, which he wanted the first Berserker Kazan or whatever it's called. He wanted that instead, so I bought him that. Know that if you take time away, we understand, no need to apologize. Oh, okay. All right, anyway, it is Saturday, March 29th, 2025, 6 p.m., and this is the 7thCast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th, Eighth is upstairs doing his thing. Whatever that thing is, I could not tell you. But he's doing it. Probably playing the first Berserker. He also received the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Switch today, so he might be playing that too. I don't know. We've both gotten a lot of games recently, although he's been getting newer stuff while I've actually gone back to doing some retro hunting, which, since there isn't really anything out here where I live, means waiting for Billy to do a Whatnot stream so I can buy up all of his auctions. So I've picked up, let's see. I picked up like 4 NES games that I was missing yesterday, which oddly enough included Dr. Mario and Bubble Bobble. I didn't even realize I was missing those until I checked. And I picked up 2 other ones that are a little bit more obscure, like Twin Cobra, and one that was a Power Pad game, and I don't even have a Power Pad. But I was missing the cart, so I got it. I got finally picked up a copy of Super Metroid, but it's still in shipping. It hasn't arrived yet. I got it pretty good for a good deal. I got it about $15 less than what it normally goes for because it had some kid's name written on the back of it, and so they were selling it at a discounted price. Same thing for Addams Family Values for Super Nintendo. I got that one cheaper than you would normally get it because it had a kid's name written on the back. I don't care about such things. As long as the label ain't torn up or peeling off, I'm good. If it's got a kid's name written on the back of it or a Blockbuster sticker on it, to me that's just history. That's kind of fun to me because I'll look at that kid's name and I'll think, why do I have Travis's copy of Addams Family Values? You know, did he run out into traffic and get run over, and then his mother had to sadly drop off all of his SNES games to the Goodwill, and it slowly made its way to my living room? I sit and think about stuff like that, and he's like, what is the history of this cartridge? Where did it start, and how did it get to me? And I think the reason that I'm like that is because when I was really little and we got the Disney Channel, there was this little documentary that used to come on all the time on the Disney Channel that was called Where the Toys Come From. And it was these 2 little wind-up toys from Japan that it was kind of like Toy Story before Toy Story. They were sentient, and they talked to each other and the other toys in the room, and they started talking about, I wonder where we came from. And so they go on a road trip to find where they came from, and they end up taking a plane across the ocean over to Japan, and they end up in the Tomy, I think, toy factory, and they meet the guy that designed them and all this stuff, and they just trace themselves from the kid's bedroom that bought them all the way back to where they were designed and built. And I found that documentary fascinating when I was a little kid, and so I think that's why I think about such things when I turn around and look at the back of a cart and it's got some kid's name written on it. I wonder, how did I end up with this? Why does Travis not have this game anymore? So I don't even try to take the stuff off. I know I could get some solvent and take the kid's name off there. I leave it on there. I just leave it on. It's part of the history. 8th is playing Kazan. Okay. Well, now I know, and knowing is half the battle. Are you going to watch the new Minecraft movie? Hell no. I have no interest in that whatsoever. None. Not gonna watch it. Heard a lot of good things about that Berserker game. Yeah, it's up 8th's alley. He hasn't said anything negative to me about it so far, so I assume he's enjoying it. Does 8th let you go up and down the stairs, or is he afraid you'll slip and hurt your back? He don't care if I go up and down the stairs. That's more me. He's 22 years old. He's old enough to have his privacy and have his space. So I don't go up there unless I absolutely have to. Or unless he asks me to come up there and look at something. Then I'll go up there. But I leave him his space. Down here is my house. Up there is his house. That's the way I view it. And I think that's worked out pretty good so far. Does OG Minecraft even have a story? Not that I'm aware of. I'm not familiar with one anyway. What else? Got another shipment from Limited Run coming. I got that Castlevania portable game collection or whatever. I bought it, so it's on its way. Oh, Eighth is really liking it then. Okay. Glad to hear it. Well, anyway, as you can see behind me, we've had a new addition to the game room. Right there. That cost me $3,400 plus $350 shipping. So after tax and everything, it was $3,800. It was almost $4,000. And it's something else, boy. I mean, it's had to have some tweaking, and it doesn't have some of the bells and whistles that the Retrocade has, which is kind of the top of the line out there. But then again, the Retrocade, its starting price for its base 50-inch unit is $7,000, and this was $3,000 cheaper. And the only real downside to it is it doesn't have a spinner control, and it doesn't have a drawer that pulls out that you can stick the guns in. Otherwise, it's got every arcade game that I ever wanted on it. The Retrocade actually has like a high-end PC in it, and it can play PC games and PS4 and PS5 and Xbox Series X games. Why would I want that? I've got all of that hooked to the 70-inch TV over there. I don't want to play modern console games on my arcade cabinet. So, I went looking for something that was just going to be good at playing the arcade games that I grew up playing, and this one fits the bill. It's got light guns, but we haven't installed them yet. And that's the one disappointment I have with the thing is, I paid extra to have the light guns put on there, but it doesn't come with that many light gun games. A lot of the light gun games are from like the NES era as far as the arcade goes. It has Hogan's Alley and Wild Gunman and stuff like that. And then you've got Terminator 2, but you don't have Revolution X. You've got Terminator 2, but not Revolution X. Why is that? You have both you have Operation Wolf and Operation Thunderbolt. You've got Lethal Enforcer 1 and 2. But you don't have Virtual Cop 1 and 2. You don't have Time Crisis 1 or 2. You have Area 51 and the Aliens light gun game. And the Jurassic Park light gun game. But you don't have Carnival. There's just some weird omissions with the light gun selection. And, supposedly they offer occasional updates to the ROM list. I mean, I'm sure we could sit down and figure out how to take the SD card out of the pie back there and just put some extra ROMs on it ourselves. But, I just kind of want to know. I mean, if it can run House of the Dead 2, then it can certainly run Time Crisis 1 and 2. Maybe not anything higher than that. And then on top of that, it plays Dreamcast games, PS1 games, and Saturn games. Well, there's all sorts of light gun games for all of those. None of them installed on this. Except maybe Confidential Mission from the Dreamcast. I think that's on there. But how about, Elemental Gearbolt? Or whatever the name of that fantasy light gun game that was on the PS1 that's now super expensive. Why couldn't they put the ROM for that on there? I mean, hell, even the PS1 versions of Time Crisis and Time Crisis 2, I would have settled for that. But they're not on there. It's weird. It's weird. Here's another weird omission. The arcade edition of Thunder Force 3, which was called Thunder Force AC, not on there. Don't know why. It certainly wasn't like, too powerful for the hardware to handle. Like I said, it runs Dreamcast games. And I don't even need all that arcade stuff, the console stuff on there. All I wanted was the arcade games. They could have left all that other stuff off. Like all the NES games and Master System and Genesis and all that stuff. They could have left all that off because I've already got all of that. All I wanted was the arcade games. And for the most part, they delivered. I've got my Turtles. I got my Galaga, my Pac-Man, my Donkey Kong. I got my X-Men. I got my Final Fight. You know, I got all the ones that I really cared about. Except they don't have Virtual Fighter on there, which, again, if they could run House of the Dead 2, they should have been able to run Virtual Fighter, so not sure why that's not there. And yet, Dead or Alive 2 is on there. You see what I mean? It's just weird. It's weird. Anyway. Would you meet Humpmaster Flex in real life if he was in your area? This is a serious question because it's about to happen. What do you mean it's about to happen? I think at this point, old Hump is at a transition in his life where he'd just as soon forget what went on with his YouTube channel. I don't think he's looking to carry on with that. Is the new Netflix horror movie Talk to Me worth a... Well, it's not a Netflix movie. It's not a Netflix movie. It's on Netflix, but it wasn't made by Netflix. And I haven't watched it yet. Setting the stage for a nice big room tour. Yes, I am. We're practically ready. I mean, I need to clean up, and there's a couple more things that 8th wants to do upstairs. The only thing that's missing in here now is a jukebox. I've always wanted a full-size jukebox. That's going to have to wait until next year. 7th, did you like that PS1 RPG Wild Arms? It was okay. Thoughts on Sin and Punishment, that quasi shoot 'em up on Nintendo. Sin and Punishment reminds me of Panzer Dragoon. Plays similar to me to Panzer Dragoon, so I don't mind it. In fact, I have Sin and Punishment 2 on the Wii somewhere around here. All good, 7th. I appreciate you being a movie buff. That's another thing I've done is we've been adding a lot of movies to the collection, getting back into physical media for movies. In fact, we just bought up a bunch of anime. I got like the entire Blu-ray box set of Gotcha Man and some other stuff. Hump was well adjusted when he met BG in real life. Yeah, I don't think Hump has any interest in meeting me. The question is, what do you mean about it's about to happen? Texas is a big state if you're saying that he's moving to Texas. I don't understand why he would move to Texas. He's always seemed like more of a northern boy, but thoughts on Marvel Cosmic Invasion. If it's going to have a physical edition, I'm very interested. If it's not going to have a physical edition, I will skip it. Thumb up the video, people. Oh, brother. Oh, shoot. I didn't get any kind of notification. Sorry, Dark Star. Normally, I'd get a little thing pop up saying you'd donated, but I didn't get that this time. I wonder why. That's weird. It's supposed to pop up right there, and it didn't do it. Huh. Well, here's dollar bill anyway. Dark Star Angel donated $10. Thank you. That puts us within 40 of extending by an hour tonight. Hey, 7th, what movie is the most interesting to you to release this year? I don't really know what's coming out this year, to be honest with you. And I haven't gone to see a single movie in 2025 so far. Not one. Nada. And I don't know what's coming out. I don't know what's left to come out this year, except for Lilo and Stitch. I know that's coming. Which, honestly, the trailer doesn't look that bad. I probably won't go see it in the theater because, 8th is 22 now. But having been a fan of the original animated one that came out the year before, I think it came out the year before 8th was born, I'm interested in seeing it. Although I don't like who they picked to play Cobra Bubbles. I mean, I like him as an actor, but I don't think he suits Cobra Bubbles. I mean, Ving Rhames is still alive. Why didn't they just hire Ving Rhames? Are you planning to play Metroid Prime 4? I don't know. I mean, I'm planning to buy it. Which console that you tried that you hated the most? What's the console that I've hated the most? I gotta go with Jaguar. I am not a fan of the Atari Jaguar. That's why I've only got 5 games for it. I have just not played a single game on that thing that I've enjoyed. Now, I have never had the opportunity to play Aliens versus Predator on it, or whatever it is. I haven't been able to play Tempest 2000 on it. I've played the 5 games that I have, and they all suck. That arcade cabinet looks amazing. Is that a 4K TV as the screen? Yes, it's 4K. You don't really need 4K for a retrocade, but it's 4K. If anything, it kind of messes up the picture for these arcade games because even though they're in their original aspect ratio, they're super, super sharp, which lets you see every little pixel. So you probably want to turn on like scanline filter and all that kind of stuff on it to try to make it look a little bit more like what it did when it was actually in the arcade, Have you seen Snowpiercer? I've seen Snowpiercer. The new Mickey 17 movies like that. Everybody that I know who has seen Mickey 17 said it was a piece of crap. So I'm not in any rush. Not in any rush to see Mickey 17. I'll see it when it hits Prime or when it hits Amazon. Wii U or Xbox One? Oof. I'd say it's a tie. I'd say it's a tie. Because normally I'd give it to the Wii U because at least it had some great exclusives. But those exclusives are now almost all on the Switch, making the Wii U unneeded if you have a Switch. So that one I gotta call tie on. Who is your favorite live action Batman actor? Out of all the ones that we've had so far, Christian Bale. Playing some Jag. Oh. Will you watch Snow White? If I'm having a very bad night and there's nothing on, and it's free on Disney Plus, and I'm feeling like torturing myself, I may watch it. Have you been watching Invincible? Yes, I've been watching Invincible. I have been watching Invincible. I wasn't a huge fan of this season because, they spent so much of it preparing for Nolan's return to Earth. And then the final fight of the whole season is with a guy that's introduced in the next to last episode. So there's no time building him up as a character. He just shows up and there's a fight and it's over. It kind of sucked. You know, you need to be able to get to know a villain before watching that villain lose. It would be like, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that doesn't like Man of Steel already, but imagine Man of Steel, and then in the last 15 minutes of the movie, Zod shows up for the first time with no backstory or nothing, and Superman fights him and wins. Would you give a crap? Not as much, methinks. Not as much. Did I like Nintendo Land at all? No. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I always considered those type of games gimmick games. You know, I just like, you know, I like light gun games, regular games, some VR, but for the most part, I just like, you know, picking up a controller and playing. I don't, all that motion stuff, I've never cared for it. Never cared for it. Keep the questions coming, folks. Keep the questions coming. We're not even an hour in yet. We're not even a half hour in yet. Does anyone want to know anything else about my amazing new Multicade? Thoughts on RoboCop Rogue City? Is it worth buying? Absolutely, yes it is. It is well worth it. RoboCop Rogue City is a lot of fun. It's really fun. I haven't platted it, but I did beat it. And the reason I didn't plat it was because I missed a trophy that's about 2/3 through the game, and I didn't want to replay it to do that part over. So I will eventually go back and try to get that. But now they've got, you know, a standalone expansion coming out that'll be on its own disc. I'm looking forward to that. More of that RoboCop game is a good thing. Will you get a stool for your arcade? Eventually. I'm not going to get one of those El Cheapo style that they sell for the arcade one-ups. One of those wouldn't hold my weight anyway. I'm going to get something heavy duty to sit there and play with. Some kind of, like, you know, retro looking cyberpunk style thing that looks like it was made out of wood from an old barn and a bunch of plumbing pipes or something, you know, and I'll have that would hold 1,000 pounds if you set it on there, and that's what I'll get, because we don't just need a bar stool for it. We need bar stools for the bar that's in the garage, because, you know, our garage has a wet bar back there, but we don't have any stools for it, so we need to get stools for that. And we still haven't really decided what we're going to do with the area, because we don't use it to park our cars. And that's one of the things I've discovered. In Texas, 99% of people don't have a garage, a basement, and so they use their garage as their basement. And even though the HOA says you can't turn your garage into another room, everyone either turns it into another room or they just use it for storage. So you raise up the garage door and it's packed all the way up to the door with like little corridors between all the stuff they have stacked floor to ceiling. It's like a hoarder's nightmare. My garage ain't like that, because I bought this house big enough to where almost all of our stuff fits out here without having to store anything in the garage like we had to do at the other house. So now the other Multicade, the one that ain't working right, it's out there. It's out in the garage. 8th wants to work with it and get it working. He wants to make it a project, and eventually he's going to take all the 7th's arcade stuff off of it, and he's going to put his own artwork on it and make it into a multicade for the garage and whatever they turn that into. And then upstairs, he eventually wants his own 32-inch version of that. But I asked him what kind of artwork he'd want on it, and he said, Centipede. I said, but it's a multicade. It's not just going to have Centipede on it. And he's like, I know, I don't even like that game. Then why? Oh, I just like the arcade cabinet's artwork. That's like, of all the arcade machines I've ever seen, Centipede has my favorite artwork on it. And so if I get a multicade, I'm going to have Centipede put on it. Okay. More power to you, 8th. It's going to be yours, so whatever you want on there. I was like, why don't you do Berserk? You love Berserk. Why don't you do Bloodborne? Have a Bloodborne multicade. You love Bloodborne. No, I want Centipede. 8th wants what he wants, my friends. And by the way, as Darkstar did notice 15 minutes or so ago, up here, I got the Streamlabs link working again. So if you want to donate, this is the best way to go. I mean, you can still hit the gray button with the $sign on it, but like I said, YouTube keeps 30% of that, and I won't get it until that account reaches $100, which right now it's got about $60 in it, so there'd have to be 40 or so more donated before YouTube would even cut me a check. So this is the best option up here, because I get this same day. And they don't take 30% of it. Good stuff. And I appreciate every you don't have to donate, but I appreciate every donation that comes in, and all of it goes towards stuff for the game room and stuff for making videos. Even though I haven't been making much lately, because I tell you what, man, I put so much effort into that Tray for Life documentary, it burned me out bad. I didn't even want to touch my editing software after I was done with that thing. That was so much work. So much work. Can your arcade cabinet play Hannah Montana? Kiss my ass, Ace. Kiss my ass, Ace. No, it doesn't have a PS3 emulator on it. Sorry, man, I'm trying to barbecue. It's hard, but I'm listening. Okay. Oh, that expansion is getting a physical release. That's, as far as I know, they showed pictures of a PS5 case with the cover to it, so I'm assuming so. They said it was going to be a standalone thing that you did not have to own RoboCop to play it. What is your favorite fast food restaurants? Two-way tie, and only one of them is in Texas. So currently the winner is Whataburger. Second place is Crystal. Unfortunately, the closest Crystal to me is in Louisiana. And I'm not driving all the way to Louisiana to get a sack full of Crystals. I haven't had Crystals in almost a decade, because the last time I had them was 8 years ago, just before I crossed the Texas state line, and I haven't been out of Texas since. So I haven't had Crystal Burgers in almost 10 years, and it's breaking my heart. So the arcade has what inside? It's a Raspberry Pi 4. I didn't need one of the cabinets that had a PC in it, because those cost $7,000 and up, because I don't want to play modern PC games or PS4 games or PS5 games or any of that on an arcade cabinet. If I want to play those, I'll sit in my recliner and play them on my 70-inch TV. I wanted this to play all the arcade games I played when I was a kid and a teenager, and you only need a Pi for that. They all run seamlessly. Nintendo basically had a Viking funeral for the Switch, and on Wednesday we will have a direct for the Switch too. Let me ask, do you care? Not especially, because I figure I'm not going to be able to snag one when the pre-orders go live anyway. I'll probably end up having to wait a year before there will even be one available for me to purchase because Nintendo infamously never manufactures enough units to satisfy demand. So screw them. They don't need my money. How much longer would Disney live when Stitch movie gets released? I think the Stitch movie is like the best opportunity they've had in a while to actually make some money. As far as their, animated to live action stuff goes. I think that one will probably actually do okay for itself. We'll see. I mean, the reaction to the trailer has been pretty positive. Do you remember the grandmother that always called you turd? Of course I do. She was the only grandmother I ever... Well, that's not true. I did meet my dad's mom, who was a total evil bitch. But my grandmother on my mother's side, her name was Virginia. Virginia Ardenia. I'm not telling you what her last name was. Everyone called her Virgie. And she was the one that lived with me after my grandfather died of cancer that was brought on by radiation exposure. He worked on the Manhattan Project as part of the electrical system of the first atomic bomb up in that facility up in the Blue Ridge Mountains or wherever it was. He worked on that, and him and several others that worked there ended up dying of cancer. And when he died, my mom and dad got married, and they didn't want her mom living by herself in that house, so they helped her sell the house and moved her in with them. And so when I was born and all the way up till about age 22 or so, I had my grandmother and my mom and my dad all in the same house. And she was the one that would call me Turd. That was her nickname for me, Turd. Crocmaster out in a few days. Will you be playing it? No. Do you think Nintendo will add achievements to Switch 2? No. I hope I'm wrong. That's one of the few times, though, that I hope I'm wrong. I just don't think I am. I really don't think Nintendo cares about them. Sounds like you need to go on an adventure for crystals. You think you're asking? Are you suggesting that I film a road trip of me and 8th driving to Louisiana just to get a bag of crystals? Are you really implying that? I don't think I could eat crystals if I wanted to because of the stomach issues that I've been having lately. I've had to extremely change how I eat and what I eat in an attempt to avoid having to have gallbladder surgery. Because I passed a gallstone a couple of weeks ago. And I was in a lot of pain for about 4 days. And you have to be careful about that kind of stuff because if it gets blocked up too bad, your gallbladder can rupture. And if, that can cause you to get septic and then, you could die from that shit. And so, but I passed the stone. And a few days later, I was fine. But at the same time, I decided then and there, well, I'm going to try to avoid causing other stones to form. So I've been eating much stuff that's got much less fat in it. Because fat is what triggers your gallbladder to inject bile into your stomach and your small intestine. And so, I still get Whataburger, but now I'm getting a grilled chicken sandwich instead of an actual burger. And I'm eating a lot of grilled chicken. I have grilled chicken in some form or another for almost every dinner now. Just a little, 4-ounce piece of shredded grilled chicken with some vegetables like beets and green beans or something like that. I've gone very low fat. I've lost 11 pounds in the last 2 weeks. And I'm going to try to stay on it and see how low I can go. It's better that than having surgery, says I. Do you think we'll get a Switch 2 Lite? Probably. I'm sick of all the grown men making 50 to 100 videos about the financials of princess movies. Yeah, I don't watch all that stuff either. I used to watch Doomcock every now and again because I thought he was funny. But then, he had that big revelation from some insider codenamed Sparrow claiming that the mice in black had shown up at the offices of Lucasfilm and had cleaned out Kathleen Kennedy's office and all this stuff, and it ended up all being BS. So I stopped watching Doomcock. And of course, because he leaked it, all the other ones were leaking the same thing, talking about, codename Sparrow and all this stuff. And then all of it ended up being BS. So I don't watch any of them. Especially, the worst one of the bunch, though, is Mike Zero. Because Mike Zero literally just makes stuff up. Every video he makes is absolute, fiction. It's crazy. Can you get Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 with all the DC emulated? I don't know. I have it on PS3. I don't have all the DLC, but... Did you see the Wings fight with Keemstar? I saw a replay of it. I didn't see it live. I think that whole thing is scripted. I think the whole thing is fake. Especially once Kid Behind the Camera got involved. Because everything that happens on Kid Behind the Camera is fake. Except, of course, for his father passing away. But otherwise, that whole thing is scripted. It's the same thing as McJuggernuggets. Kid Behind the Camera, I like him. I've met him. I consider him, a friend, or at least a friendly acquaintance. We've met in person once. And we follow each other on Twitter. But to me, he's just an overweight McJuggernuggets. That's what he does. And I mean, he's good at what he does, but that's what it is. And I think some of it was scripted, and then he came along and him and Keemstar got together, and now it's all scripted, and Mike is helping to write the script. I have not seen Snow White. I do not believe that 8th is playing Path of Exile 2. I'm not either. Not yet, anyway. Do you think Nintendo will make a Star Fox game? Maybe. If so, will you play it? Maybe. I've never been like the massive Star Fox fan, but I don't hate it either. I mean, you don't have to film it, but you could. I'm just suggesting you make the drive. I think it would be at least 3 hours from where I'm at to cross the line into Louisiana to find a crystal. I don't think a 6-hour drive would be worth a bag of hamburgers. Do you think more people will start switching to PC due to the lack of AAA games on current-gen consoles? I don't know. Hard to say. Not everybody can afford to do that. The wife beating wasn't scripted unless his plan was to permanently be offline forever. Wait till he streams again. The trolls are going to be in overdrive. Yeah. My thinking is that event was scripted, but she got around him in a way that he wasn't expecting, and he might have thought at first that was somebody else and accidentally shoved her. I don't know. Because when he turned around and looked, he seemed very surprised that it was her lying on the table. He had this kind of what just happened look on his face. So, I don't know. Your superpowers have to adjust from your recent eating habits, right? Oh, yeah. If I bring you a sack of crystals and a robin medley, will you be my good buddy? You will never find a robin medley to bring me. High five for life. And you would by the time you were able to find a crystal, buy them, and drive the hours it would take to get to my house, they wouldn't be any good anymore. But I'd appreciate the sentiment. Yes, Kamran Pasha, the Sparrow. Exactly. Exactly. You know the BS I'm talking about, too. Do you think Minecraft movie is still bad? Well, I haven't watched it yet, but the trailer looks awful. Be sure to follow for future Star Wars content. Yeah, Mike Zero's a joke. I don't think it was scripted either. Hi-Fi Wings is an unstable. Well, there's some other things about it that lead me to suspect that it was scripted, but it went off script. Is Angry Grandpa real? Like, did his dad actually get angry and act like that? His dad acted like that when he was legit mad, yes, but pretty much everything that you saw on camera was scripted. And they say that his dad was actually a real sweetheart in real life. Don't have crystals in Ohio. It's all White Castle. White Castle are gone too now. Yeah, I mean, crystal has always been a regional thing. You see them in Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana. That's pretty much it. Everything above Tennessee, like north of Tennessee, it was White Castle. And the big difference between them is that a crystal is basically a White Castle with pickle, shredded onions, and mustard on it. I don't think White Castles come with that. I think they come with something different. But they're both sliders either way. So there used to be some in Texas, but they went out of business not long before I moved here, which really pissed me off when I found out. Been playing Bloodstained and I love it. What do you give it out of 7 if you did play it? It's about a 6. Does Crystal sell frozen sliders in the supermarket? Yes. If you live in the South, you can get microwave crystals, but they taste just the same as the microwave White Castles. In other words, they don't actually taste like the ones you'd buy in the store. But the best way that I have found to emulate the taste of a crystal is there's this Philly cheesesteak meat that you can buy at like Walmart or H-E-B, and you cook that up, and then you put that on sourdough rolls with some cheese, mustard, and a pickle, and it tastes a lot like a crystal. So that has kind of, at least satiated me, that when I've craved a crystal, I've just, me and Eighth whip those up, and that, satisfies the urge. Of course, I don't think I can do that now because they'll make me sick. Or they could potentially make me sick depending on how much fat is in them. So trying to avoid that kind of stuff these days. Bye, Master Chief Snake. What do you think about Patapon and Everybody's Golf going to the Switch? I never played either one of those, so I don't care. Could not care less. I'm mad that Little Debbie ice cream pints are gone. Mike, I used to work for about 3 months at the factory where Little Debbie's are made. It's outside of Chattanooga, and it's called the McKee Bakery. Great big old factory, like out in the middle of nowhere. And I worked there for 3 months doing data entry as a temp. And when you went to their break room, all of the walls of the break room were lined floor to ceiling with shelves of little Debbie's that they hadn't been able to sell. And so you were encouraged to bring a bag with you and just take whatever you wanted. And so every day, because my mom and dad loved Little Debbie's, I'd bring a book bag with me and I would load up on Little Debbie's and bring them home. So by the time that contract was over, we had like an entire cupboard full of boxes of Little Debbie's that I didn't pay for. Did you know that Crystal was Elvis Presley's favorite restaurant? No, I didn't. Would you like to have a food replica like the one? I think you meant replicator. Would you like to have a food replicator like the ones from Star Trek? Sure, why not? Then I could just say, crystals, sack full of 12, with cheese. You're a burger man like me. If you want a good burger, we have a place in Alexandria, Louisiana called the Pit Grill Diner, and they have the best bacon cheeseburgers I've ever had. Well, I don't think I'm going to be eating a burger for a while, but thanks for letting me know. The topic of whether Batman should kill has made its rounds back to the internet in recent days. What's your take on the subject? Well, traditionally, he doesn't kill. However, I will remind everybody that in the early Batman comics, Batman carried a revolver. So, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. And, he didn't kill anybody in The Batman, but he certainly killed people in the Snyder movies. He killed people in the Michael Keaton ones. He killed people in Batman Forever. There were some people that probably died from some of the stuff that he did in the Dark Knight trilogy. So, do you think those machines would be possible? Not any time soon. Certainly not within our lifetime. Batman carried a revolver. Didn't know that. Yeah. If you look it up on the internet, some of the early Detective comics, Batman had a revolver. And wasn't afraid to use it, neither. Hi, Stevie boy. Arcade cab looks on point. Yep. They said, we can put anything you want on it. What do you want? I said, I want a cabinet that celebrates both the original Tron movie and Tron Legacy, the second movie. And when they first sent me the proofs, it's like they didn't actually read what I said, because the original proofs they sent me was all Tron Legacy. And I was like, hey guys, go back and read my original email. I wanted both original Tron and Tron Legacy. So by the end of the day, they had redone everything and sent it to me. And I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And they built it. Now, if any of you are curious about where I got it, it's made by a company called the Arcade Guys. They're headquartered in Florida. And, they'll sell you an arcade cabinet that'll run all the arcade games you want for about half of what you'd pay to get an entry-level Retrocade unit. So, you don't have the little pull-out drawer that to put your light guns in. They give you these mount-on holsters instead that mount to the side of the cabinet. And, it doesn't have a PC in it. It runs off of a Pi. So you're not going to be playing PS4, PS5, and PC games on it. But if you're like me and what you wanted was be able to play, Tron and Robotron and Galaga and Pac-Man and Final Fight and Turtles and X-Men and that kind of stuff, this baby will do it. And it does it well. One thing that nearly brought a tear to my eye was when I first turned it on and I was going through the ROM list to set my favorite list. I was scrolling down through them, and there it was. It has Cloak and Dagger. I have not played Cloak and Dagger, the arcade game, since I first found an actual cabinet at the Miracle Strip amusement park in Panama City, Florida, when I was about 15 or 16. And so I almost got a little emotional seeing that on the list. I was very happy that was on there. I'm not saying it's the best game in the world, but I've always had a soft spot for it because, my mom took me to see the Cloak and Dagger movie when I was a kid. And, of course, the 5200 cartridge that you see in the movie never actually existed. There never was a home version of it. And the arcade game was originally, it was called something like Super Spy X or Spy Hunter X or Spy Killer X or something like that. And they retooled it to be a video game of Cloak and Dagger when the movie came out. And so it didn't even have its own cabinets. It came as a conversion kit for Robotron cabinets. So if you had a Robotron 2084 cabinet, you could get this conversion kit that would turn it into a Cloak and Dagger cabinet. And I've only ever seen one in my lifetime, and it was at that Miracle Strip amusement park, which of course was demolished way back in the early 2000s. Miracle Strip was shut down and all that demolished, including that arcade, which was one of my favorite arcades of all my life. And so scrolling through the list and being able to load that game up and play it, yeah, meant a lot. Meant a lot. Do you have any Batman games on the arcade cabinet? I don't know if Batman Return I don't know if Batman and Robin. There's an arcade game of Batman and Robin. It's a beat 'em up. I don't know if it's on there. I don't know if Batman Forever is on there, but I do know the Atari arcade game for Batman that came out for the original movie. It's on there. It's on there. But I don't know. Yeah, I know that there was a beat 'em up that was, I want to say it was Batman. It was either Batman. It's not the Acclaim one that was on Sega Saturn and Super Nintendo and all that. It's an actual beat 'em up, and I want to say it was based on Batman and Robin. It could have been based on Batman Forever. I'm not sure. I don't even remember what company released it, but it played totally different from that horrible Batman Forever home game. It was an actual side-scrolling beat 'em up, but I don't think it's on there. That's another one where you're like, why is that not here? It's not polygons. It's not a high-end thing. It's from 1995. That ROM should be on there. Why is it not? I mean, there are a small handful of weird omissions like that where you think, what was the reasoning for that ROM not being here? But all the main ones that I wanted are on there, and they all work. He killed dolphins and fish when he took that nuke off the coast. Or should say if autopiloted and took it off. Yes, and when he carried the bomb over his head and threw that out into the bay or whatever, I'm sure he killed some fish there too. Did you see any of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies? I've seen all three. Just saw Anora to see why it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and it wasn't half bad. It had an ambiguous ending that could be up for interpretation. I don't know anything about that movie. And I don't watch, the Oscars or whatever. I couldn't tell you the last time. Pretty much the Game Awards is the only award show that I'll sit through these days. And even then, I have to be in the right frame of mind to sit through that. Some years I don't watch it live. I watch the replay and I watch it in chunks so I don't have to sit through the whole thing at once. Getting quiet now. Keep the questions coming, folks. We got a lot more time to get through. I mean, I can cut it short if y'all aren't in the mood for this tonight. Most people these days tune in the Oscars and other award shows hoping there's another slap incident. Well, if nothing else, that was entertaining. It was entertaining. I was talking about the retro games that I've managed to pick up since y'all saw me last. If you've never had the opportunity to play Addams Family Values on Super Nintendo, it's one of the few examples I can think of a good ocean game. Because it's basically a Legend of Zelda clone where you play as Uncle Fester. It has practically nothing to do with the movie at all. But it's a fun little Zelda clone. So if you've never had a chance to try it, check it out. What was your favorite job? Out of all the jobs I've had, the one I have now. Because it pays the most money. And I don't have to go into the office. I can do it from here. Yeah, somebody already asked me about Wings. I didn't see it live. I saw a clip of it on Twitter. What was the last game you got addicted to? Oh, gee, I don't know. I know I couldn't put down RoboCop once I got it. When I got Rogue Legacy, I finished it start to finish. Couldn't put that one down. The other company you mentioned, the other cabinet company you mentioned, they make like GameCube and other PS3 emulated with a PC inside. Yeah, but you got to pay $7,000 and up for it. And I didn't need all that. I've already got all those systems. I didn't need to be able to play them on a cabinet. With the Switch 2 coming, how long before we see the next Zelda? I have to think they want to launch the Switch 2 with some kind of Zelda game. We'll see. We'll see. That's the way they've done it the last several systems, but we will see. Oh, magic powers. Thoughts about Greg Miller getting political at the DICE Awards? I didn't watch the DICE Awards, so I didn't care. I know who Greg Miller is. Did you play Chip's Challenge? Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell. I paid $9,000 for 2 new PCs, so there. Well, all right then. That means you should be able to well afford donating to the cause up here, shouldn't you? That's right. At 7th level, what's up, homie? I'm cooking some good old dinner, chili cheese, bacon, turkey burgers. Oh, hey there, Tokes. I could eat the turkey. That's about all I could eat on it. I can eat that turkey, but I can't eat the other stuff anymore. It's going to make me sick. But hey, it's encouraging me to finally lose weight, so hopefully that's a trend that continues. Although as fat as I've gotten, that means when I do lose the weight, I'm going to have a bunch of skin just hanging off of me everywhere. Because I ain't going to have the money to have that surgically fixed. 7th, I got a new female pit bull. Yeah, I think you sent me pictures of it, didn't you? Thoughts on Split Fiction? Haven't played it. My brother brought his other 3 dogs to my home right now. Nope, I'm broke AF now. Well, then what good are you for? I'm kidding. You can at least throw me a like there, Hi-Fi, if you haven't liked the stream yet. I would appreciate that, sir. Ozempic, no. Too expensive. My insurance won't cover it. Who would you like to play a live-action Kratos? I think it'd have to be an unknown. I wouldn't be able to take a known actor seriously in that getup. Could you explain the difference between classic G4 and new G4? G4 was moderately entertaining and stomachable. New G4 was awful and deserved the premature death that it got. I tried to help you lose weight long ago. Okay. 7th, what was the craziest customer you've encountered? We had a guy come into Circuit City with a gun once. That's probably the craziest one I've ever encountered. He didn't like the fact that he bought the extended warranty on a stereo, but he thought that meant that he could return it for a full refund for 2 years. And that's not what the extended warranty did. The extended warranty said that you could have it fixed or replaced for free for 2 years, but not that you could just come in and give it back and get your money back. And so, we told him no, and he went outside to his truck and he came in with a gun. Hi, Nicholas Little. How's it going? Anyway, $2 hours remaining, folks. 2 hours remaining. We've had a single $10 donation. We are $40 away from extending the show by 1 hour. Thoughts on the Painkiller reboot? I am interested to see how that turns out. I mean, Painkiller has never been like the greatest series, but they had a certain charm. Hello, 7th. Where have you been? Getting called into work and being too sick to stream. Adam Sessler turned into a crazy loony. I think he was always a crazy loony, but he had people that were in more control of what he did and said on the original run. Did you see the latest Death Stranding 2 trailer? Yeah, it looks like it's going to have a lot more combat than the first one did. 8th is very excited about it. Thoughts on Space Marine 3 being announced after the success of Space Marine 2? I hadn't heard that, and I haven't even played Space Marine 2. I have it, but I haven't had a chance to play it. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had a slice of pizza, Bill. Thoughts on The Last of Us 3 possibly getting canceled? I don't know that it was ever officially greenlit to begin with. Yes, it is 7 o'clock where I'm at. 7th, did you like the original Wild Arms? Yes. Wild Arms 2 was good too. Are you feeling better? Somewhat. Somewhat better. I'm still having some soreness, and I have to be very... That's why you keep seeing me lean back like this, because if I sit upright like this for too long, I start to have pain across here where it's still sore, and so then I have to lean back to make that pain go away. No, it was not COVID related. It was gallbladder related. I passed a gallstone. Death Stranding 2, I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. Did you ever play any tycoon building games like SimCity or Roller Coaster Tycoon? I played the Super Nintendo version of SimCity, and I played the Roller Coaster Tycoon ripoff that was about building a new SeaWorld, and it had kind of a Jurassic Park ripoff expansion included with it. I played that one. And then there was some other one that I did that was more of a generic amusement park one, but I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't Roller Coaster Tycoon. It was some like I don't know. I can't. I played it on PC. It wasn't on console, but it wasn't one of the big ones. It was kind of a rip off. I don't remember. It's not Thrillville or Coaster Works or any of that. I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of a theme park builder light, I guess you could call it. Thoughts on Black Bond streaming? Well, he streams. What can you say? My father was laid off from his job and has decided to officially retire. I wish I could retire, but I'm only 50. I have 17 more years before I can draw Social Security. And 8th is not far enough along in his career where he could afford to hold down the fort on this place by himself if I was to have to retire suddenly. So, I have to keep at it. No, I would not play a Hannah Montana remaster. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was hands down my favorite movie of 2010. I've seen it. I was not as big a fan of you, but I didn't hate it. Did you like the movie Pixels with Adam Sandler? Yes. I liked it ironically, I guess you could say. There's some movies by Sandler that I legitimately love. Like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Little Nicky, Hubie Halloween. Pixels, I don't love it, but I still get a kick out of it when I watch it because of some of the dumb decisions that were made with it. Yeah, no, it wasn't Thrillville. Snow White is doing awful at the box office. Yeah, no shit. 7th, which franchise is more screwed, The Last of Us or Star Wars? Well, The Last of Us still has the show, and I would imagine that even though they're saying they're not continuing the game, that means that he's just going to have to write the scripts for the show. Kind of like Game of Thrones in reverse. What is 8th's career? He's still working on that. He hasn't decided on that, and it would be up to him to tell you that if he wanted you to know. 7th, any affection for Final Fantasy games? Did you play Final Fantasy 16 or the 7 remakes? I played Final Fantasy 16. I beat it. I did not plat it. I played the first Final Fantasy 7 remake. I haven't played the second one yet because 8th's not done with it. Yeah, exactly. My personal life is my own. Yeah, 8th is a young man. He hasn't decided on one specific thing to be his career, so he's still, figuring things out. And if he had figured them out, it wouldn't be my place to tell you what it was. Did you like I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Mary? Not really. Not really. I just didn't think it was all that funny. It was kind of boring. Ever since I've beaten Space Marine 2, I've been obsessed with getting into the lore of Warhammer. I never have been into those kind of tabletop games specifically. But the people that I know who are into it, they always talk about how great the lore is in those games. Thoughts on Breaking Bad? I loved Breaking Bad. I thought it was great, and it had a very satisfying ending, which you rarely get on long-running shows. Usually they screw it up and the ending you get is terrible, but not with Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad had a good ending. Eighth is a full-time assistant to Elon Musk. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that those two would get along. Any interest in Atomfall? I've seen people talking about it. I don't even know what style of game it is. I'm a Gmod add-on creator, and I made a cool space add-on that is an entity that projects space onto your map, and it got featured on a bigger Gmod YouTuber named Necros Videos. Well, good for you. Did you ever watch Lost on ABC? I tried to, and I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of J.J. Abrams' whole mystery box concept, because the longer you drag it out, the more likely it's going to be that what's in the box is going to be a disappointment to you. Adamfall looks like a Bethesda RPG game. Huh. Well, I'll look into it. Bill, I already answered that question not 5 minutes ago. Would you go take a crap or something? Do you think this gaming gen has been the most boring? In some ways. In some ways. There hasn't been as many big, oh my gosh, I must have this releases this gen. That's for sure. Yeah, I knew about Henry Cavill and his obsession with Warhammer. I am quite familiar. Why didn't you like The Sopranos? I just never could get into it. You know, the minute that this big badass mafia boss goes walking into a therapist's office and starts talking to a shrink, I lost all interest in it, turned it off, and never went back to it. I didn't like the idea of that. I don't want to see a big mafia boss, talking to a shrink. That's been my least favorite part of the newest season of Daredevil so far, is Kingpin and his wife talking to a shrink. I've never liked shrinks, and I don't like the concept of having to watch somebody go to one. I think it's boring and pretentious and unnecessary. And when I read somewhere that the shrink factored in greatly to Gandolfini's character in The Sopranos, I was like, nope, not watching it. Who wins in a fight, Kratos or Dante? Kratos. What video game meme had a bigger impact, Maidenless or Arrow to the Knee? Probably Arrow to the Knee, because I'm not even familiar with the Maidenless meme. Oh, you know what? One of the things I picked up on, another thing I picked up on Blu-ray? I got the Police Academy box set. All 7 Police Academy movies in one set. Now there's just some 80s goodness right there, y'all. I've watched some of Rings of Power. It's god-awful. I will not be completing it. Assuming that it actually manages to make it the full number of seasons they want, I will not be watching all of it. I gave them 2 seasons worth of chances. That's for chances enough. I'm not doing it anymore. Parappa the Rapper or Guitar Parappa. I was never a big fan of Guitar Hero. 8th liked it all right, but he didn't do the guitar part that much. He did the vocals for Rock Band. Did you like the Hobbit trilogy? The Hobbit trilogy is okay. My problem with them is that the majority of what you see on screen is not in the book. 8th is a much bigger fan of the Hobbit trilogy than I am. I don't know, Blaze. I don't give it much thought. Can we all agree to call next gen the current gen when the new generation comes out? How are we calling a gen next gen when we're 4 years into it? Yeah, I know. It's weird. That's why I tend to say this gen. Next gen or this gen. The only thing I didn't The only thing I didn't about The Sopranos was the ending. Yeah, I did see its ending, and its ending sucked. I'm too old for Police Academy. My parents raised me on Naked Gun, which is basically 80s Austin Powers with a cop. Naked Gun was 90s. And Naked Gun is more slapstick and parody than Police Academy is. Yeah, Naked Gun is based on an old TV show from the 80s that only lasted like 12 episodes called Police Squad. And is similar in style to movies like Airplane, Airplane 2, the sequel, Loaded Weapon 1, that sort of thing. Police Academy is not like that. Police Academy is more like Animal House or Stripes, only it takes place at a police academy. Now, as the series got longer, the first movie was rated R, had a lot of nudity in it. The second movie was rated PG-13. And then from 3 on, they were all PG. So the comedy became a little bit more family-friendly as the series went on, but they were still funny. No, 8th does not like the Lord of the Rings TV series. Best HBO show is Band of Brothers. You're not wrong. I loved Band of Brothers. I've sat through the whole thing twice. Do you believe the rumors about the PS6 getting released early? I don't know. The rumor I heard was that the PS6 was coming in 2028 and that it was the Xbox that was going to try to release early like they did with the 360. 7th, would you ever take Helldivers 2 for a spin? I mean, it's a co-op shooter, so maybe if someone really wanted me to play it with them. But mostly, if somebody was going to ask me that I would say yes to, it would be 8th, and he has not asked me to play it with him. What made Sauron a great villain in the Lord of the Rings movies? Well, it wasn't. He was more of an abstract in the movies and in the books in a lot of ways. That's a story that is not so much about the villain himself, but about how the main characters react to that villain. You know, you don't see a lot in the way of his motivations or his personality or whatnot. Oh, $5 through Super Chat from Living Legends. Thank you, Living Legend. You get a dollar bill. Sup 7th, any thoughts on Terminator 2D coming out this fall? As a big fan of T1 and 2, I couldn't be more excited. Pre-ordered the Reef Online Collector's Edition. What is the Reef? Yeah, if there's going to be a physical release of that, I'd like to have it. I don't know. You know, I don't care too much about a collector's edition, but just a regular physical release, I wouldn't mind having that. I find myself watching Generation Kill more than Band of Brothers. I don't think I've watched that. Did you like I think you meant HBO series 6 Feet Under, Boardwalk Empire, True Blood. I tried to watch True Blood. I thought it was stupid. I started to watch Boardwalk Empire, and I was getting interested in it, and then I found out that it got canceled before they finished the story, so I stopped watching it. I watched all of 6 Feet Under. My favorite part's where he has the stroke and starts going, Narm, 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 and then falls over. I have no idea what Generation Kill is. I'll have to look that up. Infamous increases the difficulty depending on how good you do in the game. Okay. $35 away from extending by 1 hour. Yes. Oh, Reef Entertainment, the publisher. So they had a pre-order for a physical release? What, you have to go to their actual website or something? I mean, if they had it on Amazon, I'd pre-order it there. But I generally do not like going to a publisher's website and pre-ordering stuff. A limited run is the only one that I do that with because, I've been buying stuff from them for years, so I trust them. And I made one exception with Larian so that I could get the collector's edition of Baldur's Gate 3 on PS5. Well, Bill, it was a combination of 6 Feet Under and Oz that put them on the map. Oz was very popular back then. Da 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 da. Boom, 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 boom. Da 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 da. Hi, Harry Tran. How's it going? Got the tats out tonight. Showing my old ass. Faded tats. 6 Feet Under was a little oddball. So was Oz. A lot of gay stuff in Oz. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But when you're a straight guy, you don't necessarily want to see so much of it on screen. My only criticism of Space Marine 2 is that much as I love the campaign, I wish it was longer. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, The Wire was popular too, although I never did get into The Wire. Limited Run's been on my bad side since they fired one of their top people from. Yeah. I don't order everything that they put out. It has to be something I really, really want before they get my money. Plus, I don't like having to wait months and months and months for it. I feel like it shouldn't come out of your card until it's ready to ship. But you pre-order something and they take it out right then. For example, they recently announced a Gradius collection, and I picked that up. I pre-ordered that. Doesn't come out till sometime around September, but I pre-ordered that. I skipped Oz and didn't regret it. Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell? Well, they're both stealth games, and I don't like stealth games, so neither. Did you ever get a chance to watch The Penguin? No. I've just been buying up a whole bunch of stuff on Blu-ray and 4K lately. Even some stuff, if you can only get it on DVD, I've bought stuff on DVD for cheap. Like I recently purchased the quote-unquote almost complete collection of Ren and Stimpy. And they call it almost complete because it doesn't include those last 6 god-awful episodes that John Kay did back in the early 2000s. It just contains the original episodes that were shown on Nickelodeon, the 5 seasons. And I got that for less than $20. I was very happy with that. I recently got Poltergeist on 4K, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust on Blu-ray, the complete series of Rexaphon on Blu-ray, The Mask of Zorro on 4K. So, just been buying up a bunch of movies, getting back into physical. That's why the shelf behind me is a lot fuller than it was the last time you saw it. Top shelf is PS5 games, second shelf is PS4, and that third and fourth shelf, that's all Blu-rays, 4K, and DVD. And of course, eighth has a bunch of Blu-rays and 4K upstairs in his room, his game room. Is there such a thing as being politically agnostic? That's basically someone who doesn't care about politics one way or the other. That's more or less me. That's why I made it a rule not to talk about it on here, because I don't want to hear about it. You couldn't bore me more. And I don't, and plus it just pisses people off. No matter what you say, you're going to be pissing off somebody. And same thing with religion, and so that's why I just keep those out of here. I don't need that kind of drama in my life. Australia had a lot of exclusive TV show collections that never released anywhere else. I'm slowly buying up all the shows that I watched as a kid. And I'm talking some of the obscure shit like Automan. I don't have Manimal yet, but I'm getting Manimal. I have all of Battlestar Galactica. I've got all of Buck Rogers. Don't have the A-Team yet. Don't have Knight Rider yet. And I really want Greatest American Hero, but I haven't bought that one yet. Did you like the Jim Henson movie Labyrinth? No. Didn't like that one. I liked the first 3 Muppet movies, but I did not like Labyrinth. I didn't like The Dark Crystal either. I thought that movie was boring. That movie was so boring. Wait a minute. Oh, that one was almost silent. Resident Evil 4, The Last of Us. They're survival horror games, so I don't like either one. I'm not into survival horror that much, so Resident Evil doesn't do a whole lot for me. The Penguin was recently released on 4K. Have you played Cyber Shadow? I have it. I don't have it physically, but I have it. No, I do not have Bible Black on Blu-ray. Bible Black is basically like the triple X-rated version of a Rokusuka Doji. Now, I do have a Rokusuka Doji. I have it, but it's not triple X rated. It's more like hard R. I get a lot of DVDs at yard sales. I don't trust DVDs at yard sales. I'm afraid of the heat and the humidity from it causing disc rot. I stopped pre-ordering games. The last pre-order was Doc on the P. I have no idea what that is. No offense. Resident Evil 4 Remake gives The Last of Us Part 1 a run for its money. More fun, I'd say, probably. I watched 8th play some of it. It seemed okay. If I was going to play a survival horror movie, it would probably be Resident Evil Village, because it feels more like, feels more like a boomer shooter where you have limited ammo. I've watched 8th play it too. Physical media is my backup. Everything goes straight to my media. I get that. That's what I use the Polymega for. When I buy a retro game that's like on a cartridge or early generation CD-ROM, I bring it home, I install it in my Polymega, and then it goes on the shelf and is never touched. I just rip the ROM right off of it, stick them on the Polymega, and then if I want to play it, I play it on the Polymega. Now, if someone comes over and they're wanting to play couch co-op on stuff, then I'll actually hook the system up and put the game in there and let them play it on the TV over there in the retro corner, the CRT. But if I'm by myself, I don't play over there. I play here at my desk with the Polymega. A couple of years ago, I got the Ken Burns Civil War DVD set at a yard sale for $0.25. Not bad. Would you do a review of Metal Gear Solid Delta? Whatever that is, I'm pretty sure I don't own it. Is that the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 that's coming out? I'm sure 8th will want it. And I'll probably never play it because it'll arrive and it'll go straight upstairs to 8th's room and I'll never see it again. Down, 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 down. Super Rare Games had pre-orders for a PS5 and Switch physical copy last month for Cyber Shadow, and it's releasing in May, which is not bad at all. I want to say I have a digital version of Cyber Shadow on my PS5. If it's the same game I'm thinking of. It's a ninja game, right? Doki Doki Literature Club on PS5. It's a Japanese game about school life. Oh, something I'd never play. Gotcha. I'm not making fun of you, Harry. I'm not. But, I don't even get that. I don't even get into the slice of life anime, much less play. I mean, there's been a couple of them that I found interesting, but for the most part, I don't even get into those. So I certainly wouldn't get into a video game about that kind of thing. Well, you'll have to let us know what he'd give it out of 7, maybe. We'll see. What do you think of this Ubisoft situation? Well, it is what it is. I mean, they've been circling the drain for a long time now. It was just a question of who was going to get him more than when. We knew it was going under. It was just a matter of who was going to snatch him up. And everyone would say, oh, Microsoft was going to. And I was thinking, why would Microsoft want him? But I figured if anyone was going to take him, it was going to be either Tencent or THQ Nordic. That it wasn't going to be one of the big boys. It would be. I mean, Tencent is huge, but they're not considered like on a Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo level here in the States. They're huge over there. They're just an annoyance over here. So I figured if anyone was going to grab them, it would either be Tencent or THQ Nordic, because THQ Nordic has been buying studios and stuff just for the IP and then letting them go out of business or shutting them down. So that's kind of what I figured was going to happen. Resident Evil is a series compared to Silent Hill is like the older sister with bigger tits, while Silent Hill is the more reserved sister that doesn't get drunk at the bar, gets arrested. Silent Hill is more traditional Japanese horror as opposed to Resident Evil that's more camp and has always been more on the campy side. So comparing Silent Hill to Resident Evil is kind of like comparing The Exorcist to Return of the Living Dead 2, in my opinion. I loved Metal Gear Solid 3 and God of War 2 so much on PS2 that those are my two favorite games from that system, so I'm pretty hyped for Delta. Well, good, man. It's good to be excited about games. I could not tell you the last time I was legitimately excited for a release. Although, well, yes, I can. I was excited for RoboCop Rogue City because I love RoboCop. I saw RoboCop in the theater with my dad in 1987. My dad freaking loved it, and so did I. And I wasn't old enough to see rated R movies, but he took me to see it anyway. And so I could not wait to play RoboCop. I wasn't a big fan of the NES game, but I loved the arcade game back in the day. So I was very excited to play a good RoboCop shooter because there was a crappy one that was on OG Xbox. And I was not disappointed. That game is so fun. Oh, I love it. Can't wait to play more of it. Thoughts on review scores for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft sold some of their major games. I already know about that. I haven't talked to anybody that likes it yet. And people have been pointing out all these glitches and stuff, like you can crawl around on your belly around enemies and they not see you, even though you're like crawling right in front of them within eyesight and stuff like that. I'm just grateful Ubisoft left Brothers in Arms alone. Yeah. Game is Deceptive was popular when it came out on YouTube, starts as a slice of life thing, and it becomes kind of a horror game where the game is like self-aware. It gets kind of dark. What game is that, 8th? Which one are you talking about there? The Doki Doki thing? Doki Doki Literature Club? Yeah, either way, if it's a visual novel, I don't care anything about it. I mean, that's why I've never even played the Danganronpa games. Because, if even part of it is a visual novel, I check out, man. Metal Gear Solid 5. Like I said, man, I don't like stealth games. Didn't play it. Yeah, Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay. I'm super stoked RoboCop is coming to PlayStation Plus. Well, you'll get your chance. But you know what? I paid $60 for it. Money well spent. I loved it. And I love having it. Well, it's not on my shelf right now because 8th took it upstairs after I finished it. Will you support Ubisoft's last-ditch efforts and buy it? Buy Assassin's Creed Shadows? No, because I don't want to play it. Maybe when it gets down to like $19 at the GameStop, assuming GameStop's still open by the time that game hits $19, maybe I'll buy it then. Hold on. Oh, magic powers. Hi, Alaskan dude. Yeah, I've just never been a visual novel person. I lose interest. I've done one or two of them just because I knew that you could literally just hit X until you got to the end and you get a platinum trophy. So I'd sit and hit X for 5 minutes and then get the platinum. I did that twice with 2 visual novels, and then I've never played another visual novel after that. They're just boring to me. They're just absolutely boring. No, I'm not interested in any John Wick spinoffs. How long is RoboCop Rogue City? I've seen it being listed as 30 hours. It's kind of in between, depending on whether you want to do all the different side stuff. I think I spent like 20 hours on it. I think. Also depends on what difficulty level you play it at. Have you played Pac-Man Championship Edition? I played it a little bit. It's not bad, but I'm a sucker for nostalgia, so I prefer the original. And Pac-Man wasn't even one of my favorite arcade games back in the day. I'm by no means a Pac-Man master, but it was fun. There weren't a tremendous amount of games from that era that I liked. I wasn't a big fan of Space Invaders, but I loved Galaga. Didn't care that much for Galaxian, but I loved Galaga. I liked Phoenix. Of course, I liked Tron. I liked Pac-Man. I liked Donkey Kong and some of the Donkey Kong ripoffs like Congo Bongo. And I have all of it on my arcade cabinet back there now. Notice how the bottom of it has a little bit of a glow on that side because that black light is hitting it. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I'm surprised there was never remakes for Clock Tower or Parasite Eve. Such a shame. Is Clock Tower the one with the guy with the scissors that chases you? You're a girl and you're getting chased. I've heard that that's being redone, but I don't know. 13 Sentinels was a great visual novel made by Vanillaware, the Unicorn Overlord guys. Well, I don't care who it was made from. If it's a visual novel, I probably ain't going to want to play it. I know 13 Sentinels is cheap, though. You can get it pretty cheap. GameSwap will be dearly missed. I definitely have more of a positive net experience dealing with them. I've had some good experiences and some bad ones. The last several times I've gone in there, I haven't even found anything that I wanted. Are you going to play Metroid Prime 4? 8th will play it. I probably will not because, again, no trophy system on Switch or Switch 2. Or at least we assume there's not going to be one on Switch 2. I have not played Death Stranding 1. I watched 8th play it, and I thought, I understand why 8th likes it, but I don't think I would like this. But Death Stranding 2 looks like it might be more up my alley. But the question is whether I'd be able to truly enjoy Death Stranding 2 if I've never suffered through Death Stranding 1. I don't know. I am hyped for Wreckfest 2 because I had played the original Wreckfest. It's a Destruction Derby flat-out style game. Well, good. And you being excited for a new release is always a good thing because it keeps you invested in the hobby. I have not been all that invested in gaming lately, to be honest with you. I couldn't even tell you the last time I booted up a game and played one because it's been a combination of me being overworked or me being sick. Yeah, well, obviously I turned on my arcade cabinet and I played some on it. And I do plan, once we have the light guns installed and we've already done the new game room tour video, I'm going to do a review of that cabinet. I am going to do that. Because the arcade guys did a good job, and they don't have that many videos about their stuff on YouTube compared to other arcade cabinet manufacturers, so I'm going to show them some love. No, they have not paid me to do this. No, they didn't give me any kind of YouTube discount for the cabinet. I paid full price out of my own money. But I will eventually do a review on it once we've already done the game room tour. And really the only thing that's holding up the game room tour is there's like at least one thing that 8th still wants to do upstairs in his computer room. And so we're waiting for that to arrive so we can install it, and then we should be ready to do the game room tour for 2025. Because the only thing that's missing down here is the jukebox, and I'm not going to have the money to buy the jukebox this year. It's not happening. Technically, I shouldn't even need a jukebox because I don't know how, but that arcade cabinet is supposed to have a jukebox mode. I just haven't figured out how to do it, but it's not so much just to listen to music, it's the aesthetic of it. I've always loved the look of classic jukeboxes with the little bubbles and all that stuff. I've always wanted one of those. And so one day I will have one, and it's going to go in that nook back there, right underneath my Turk 182 poster. That's where it's going to go. In the meantime, I know I haven't been here since, this is the first time I've streamed since March 8th. When I last streamed, there were people having problems with the Streamlabs link up there working. It wasn't allowing them to donate. That is fixed. You can now donate up there. So if Smith Smithy is in here, Smith Smithy, you can donate to that now. And we are currently $35 away from extending tonight's stream by another hour. Let's see here. Seventh, if you're a Shinobi fan, can you pre-order the physical copy of Shinobi Art of Vengeance on Video Games Plus? I don't know, can I? Who's the better wrestler, Ric Flair? I mean, Hogan wasn't as rudimentary as he made it out to be. If you watch some of the stuff that he did in Japan, you'll see him do a lot of moves that you never saw him do in America. Not even when he was with AWA. Do you think Sony messed up on 20th anniversary of God of War not doing a remake of 1, 2? Yes. That was a missed opportunity. They should have done that. Does OG Donkey Kong still hold up? Well, I mean, it plays exactly the same as it did back in the early 80s when it came out. So if you've ever played it and liked it, it plays exactly the same. It hasn't changed. Can you add games to the cabinet? Well, I'm sure. You can just take the SD card out of it and install more ROMs on it, and then you plug the SD card back in, and then you have to go into the front end and configure those ROMs. It's a lot of work, but it's possible. So, maybe down the road once the only thing is, it's a pain in the ass because you have to take the back of the arcade cabinet off to get to the SD card. So you have to unscrew the back because, the more expensive ones, like the $7,000 ones, you flip those around and it has doors that you can open on hinges and stuff. This one doesn't have hinges. You want to get into the back of it, you have to unscrew the back to get into it. Kid behind the camera, back to reruns. Yeah, this is like, what, the 115th time in the last 10 years that he's broken up with his girlfriend slash wife? I think he needs to reach out to creative and his buddy Paul Heyman and get some tips from Heyman on new storylines, because he's running out of ideas, baby. Have you watched Chainsaw Man? Yes. I like it a lot. I don't think the dub was available when I watched it. I think when I first watched it, all there was the sub, so I don't think I've watched the dub yet. Those arcade cabinets look so dope. And like I said, you can get anything you want on it, except for maybe hardcore porn. You just tell them what you want on there, and they'll do it. What happened to Arcade 1-Up? I don't know. I mean, they're still making stuff, but instead of bringing out new cabinets, they're just re-releasing new versions of the old ones they've already done. So I feel like they're having some kind of financial issues to where they're not able to afford to license other titles now. But I understand why some people really got into Arcade 1-Ups, because it was a semi-affordable way to kind of recreate your childhood arcade in your basement. Well, guess what? I don't have a basement. I live in Texas. No basement. I have a living room. And I did not have room for, 5011 cheaply made mini cabinets that were like 3 feet tall. Even when you put the extender on them, they still weren't the size of a full-size arcade. I didn't have room for that. I had room for one cabinet. So I bought one that was going to have everything I wanted to play on. And if I was going to buy enough Arcade 1-Ups to include all the games that thing has, it would cost me way more than the $3,800 I paid for that. That's the truth. So that thing's got like 22,000 games on it. True, only about, 3,000 or 4,000 of them are arcade games. But yeah, it's got everything. It's got everything I'd need on it, short of the ones that I've mentioned tonight, the missing light gun games. Now, obviously, it's not going to be powerful enough to do stuff like Raising Storm or that popular that pirate light gun game that came with Raising Storm on the PS3 re-release. It's not going to be powerful enough to do that, but it would be powerful enough to do a lot of the other ones that I loved that for mysterious reasons just aren't on there. I mean, why in the world would you have Terminator 2 on there, but you don't have Revolution X? I don't understand that. You can play God of War 1 and 2 remasters in 60 frames a second on PS3 by Bluepoint. It's on I know that. They're wanting more. I think what people are really wanting is more of a remake than a remaster. Have you seen that video by Hogan's ex-wife? Yeah, it was pathetic. What are you more excited for, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound or Shinobi? How the F did the LOLcast get so much money for like nothing? Because they have a bunch of pay pigs that will donate to see, Boogie or Wings or whatever make fools of themselves. That's all what it's all about. It's about paying them to be idiots. Thoughts on the John Cena heel turn? Well, I mean, it's fine if you were a fan of John Cena. I've never been a fan of John Cena. Eighth liked him when he was a kid. But it's certainly not, Hulk Hogan becoming Hollywood Hulk Hogan. It's not even close to that. Not even close. At the 7th level, nice arcade cabinet. Thank you, Sage. I never heard of Polymega before, but after looking at their website, I'm getting one. Well, be careful. I mean, they're supposed to be caught up on their stock now. But when I ordered mine, it took, over 2 years for me to get it. Because of various issues, some of it related to COVID. But they're supposed to be caught up now. So if you want to get one, you should be able to get one. Thoughts on John? I've got all of the expansion modules that have come out so far. I've got the NES, the SNES, the Genesis, the TurboGrafx one, and the Nintendo 64 one, even though I only have 4 N64 cards. And I bought all of them except one from Billy. Thoughts on John Tenta, a.k.a. Earthquake, and Lex Luger. Both are finally getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. John Tenta was a pretty cool guy. If you actually watch the biography episode about him, he was a pretty cool dude. I never was much of a fan of him as a wrestler, but he was a pretty cool dude. Lex Luger I've never liked. Never liked him. Never cared for him. Thoughts on Boogie dating some... No, she's like 22 now, something like that. 21 or 22. She was 20 when they started dating, if I remember right. I've met her. She's a sweet kid. At 7th level, a custom-made arcade cabinet is way higher quality than one-up arcade. You're not wrong. That thing is a beast. That thing weighs 250 pounds. 250 pounds. It don't have wheels on it like my other one. The other one that Captain Retro built me, that one has wheels on the bottom. You can roll that thing around. This new one, no, Sage. I was talking about Time Crisis Raising Storm. Razing. Time Crisis Raising Storm. It was released on PS3, and it also came with a pirate game, but I don't know what that one was called. Are you saying the pirate game is called Rising Storm? Let me see. Let me look up Rising Storm. No, Rising Storm is not that pirate game. I don't know what the pirate game was called. Let me see here. We'll find out. Time Crisis Raising Storm PS3. They called it a shooting collection. Came with Time Crisis 4 and Dead Storm Pirates. Dead Storm Pirates. I don't think that Time Crisis Raising Storm or Dead Storm Pirates, not at least the versions that were made for PS3, would run on that cabinet. I think there's too many polygons moving at once for that cabinet to run those. But it would certainly be able to do Time Crisis 1 and 2, House of the Dead 1, Virtual Cop 1 and 2. Dead Storm Pirate. I loved Dead Storm Pirates. We have it on PS3. It's upstairs. I loved it. I thought it was fun as hell. I wish it did work on that cabinet, but it won't. Because I didn't want to spend the money to make it to where it was powerful enough to run PS3 ROMs just to play one shooting game. It wasn't worth it to me. Especially when I still have multiple working PS3s, and I can just hook up my PS3 to my 70-inch with my moves and play it. I don't need it on that cabinet. How good is Polymega? It's great. It's great. I have 90% of my retro games on one system in the palm of my hand. You know, you just pop the card in, and it says, bam, here it is. And you click install, and it says, bam, it's done. And then you take the cartridge out, and then you never have to touch the cartridge again. Stays safe on itself on the shelf with no additional wear and tear being added to it. And it does it for CD games too. It'll do Sega CD, TurboGrafx CD, Neo Geo CD, Sega CD, Sega Saturn, and PS1. My only complaint with when it comes to PC games or CD games, obviously it can't do Dreamcast because that's GD-ROM, and they don't make GD-ROM compatible drives anymore. And the other is that why is there no... Oh, it'll do Jaguar CD too, if I remember right. Why does it not support 3DO? 3DO had a fairly decent sized library. Why is this... And Saturn and PS1 are more powerful than 3DO, so why is 3DO not supported? That's my only complaint about the Polymega. How long it takes them to get product to you when you order it, and the fact that its CD-ROM doesn't support 3DO. I think it should. I would buy more 3DO games if the Polymega supported it. Right now, I only have 5. And I don't play them because I don't want to take the time to hook up the 3DO. How do you think WCW would have booked a WWF invasion if they had won the war? I think they would have done it better. I don't think WCW would have treated the WWF guys the way WWE treated WCW. Well, you know they wouldn't, because they had already done that storyline when they brought in all the WWF guys over for the NWO. They treated them like gold. 99% of the people they brought over from WWF were treated like gold, with the exception of Bret Hart. Bret Hart got the short end of the stick on that deal. They didn't know how to use him. After the whole storyline with Sting versus Hogan had finished out, and Sting, they should have had Sting, which they did. Have Sting get screwed out of the title, and then Bret Hart becomes the new resistance leader because he knows what it's like to get screwed by a federation. So he takes over the anti-3DO movement, or NWO movement. Got 3DO in the brain now. And that gives Sting a chance to rest for a bit after the year that he's been standing up in the rafters and stuff. That's what they should have done, and then went straight into a Bret Hart versus Hogan angle. That would have been gold, and they didn't do it because WCW were stupid. Yes, I'm excited for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I want a physical copy. Why do I feel like Ghosts of Yotei would be disappointing, or Ghosts of Yotai, whatever, because they decided last second not to continue Jin to show their political views? I don't know, man. I don't know. 8th is going to play it either way. I don't have a problem playing a game with a female protagonist as long as it's not politics heavy and is, doing the whole stupid girl boss thing. Does the Polymega have HDMI? Yes. It has HDMI and it has Wi-Fi. Do you think Borderlands characters can keep up with Marvel Street Tier characters? I doubt it. Borderlands doesn't have a tremendous amount of memorable characters aside from Claptrap, Handsome Jack, and Brick. That's about it. Moxie or whatever. Do you think Borderlands... I just answered that. Do you have an emulator for PS2 games? 8th has one upstairs. I don't emulate PS2. Hogan squash match with Austin. Yeah. What do you expect to see on the Switch 2 Direct? I'm thinking we might get a hint at a new Zelda game. I mean, when was the last time they launched new hardware that didn't have a new Zelda game on it? Can Polymega do Super Game Boy? Not yet. Polymega can do NES, Famicom with an adapter, Genesis, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, TurboGrafx, PC Engine, Neo Geo CD, N64, PS1, Sega CD, Saturn, Jaguar CD. course, you have to buy all the modules, all the add-on modules. If you just buy the Polymega with none of the modules, it only does the CD games. Do you think Call of Duty's on its deathbed? Not as long as it still has an audience that'll play it. Do you like Japanese steakhouses? I have been to Hibachi Grills multiple times. I used to go to one at Epcot a lot back in the day when I worked for Disney. What was it called back then? Mitsukoshi Teppanyaki. That's what it was called. Very good. Very good. Their Chinese restaurant was really good too. Nine Dragons. It was fantastic. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. 1 hour remaining. We have had $15 worth of donations. We are $35 away from extending by 1 hour. So we currently have 1 hour to go. Thoughts on Terminator Resistance? Game came out 6 years ago. I have it on PS5. I have not played it yet. I hear it's kind of like playing Fallout, but it's Terminator. That's what I've heard, but I haven't played it yet. Did you like the Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins storyline? No, because I'm not a fan of Cody Rhodes. I can't get into him. He's very bland to me. Two true exclusives a year minimum is good for play. I would think so. Thoughts on A Quiet Place? Didn't care for it. Just thought it was gimmicky. I'm amazed WCW didn't win the war. That was their own fault because they couldn't think of anything to follow up the NWO with. The NWO was their only good idea. Magic powers. All the old WWF pay-per-views on Netflix, and while it's getting better now because I'm about to start 1997, some of that, particularly 1995, are awful. Well, yeah, because they were still doing the stupid kiddie stuff. You know, like having garbage men as wrestlers and dentists and all that kind of stupid shit. What I just said. Oh, you mean about Quiet Place? Well, it's like, you know, you have to be quiet because they can't see, but they can hear you. And then it's like, you know, you have to wear blindfold so that the things don't get you. Or then you have to stay in the shadows because if you step in the light, they can see and they'll get you. A gimmick horror movie. Would you blame Russo or Eric for that? Yes. They were both responsible, but even more so were the bigwigs upstairs because once Time Warner took over and Ted Turner didn't have control of the checkbook anymore, WCW's fate was sealed. Space Invaders, I prefer Asteroids. 7th, I've stopped watching AEW for the past few months, mainly because of this stupid Death Raider storylines making me have flashbacks to the NWO and WCW. I've never been able to get into AEW because the writing is so bad. Their storylines suck. And then you have stupid stuff going on, like what Moxley allowed to happen to himself last week. That's not wrestling, man. Once you allow that kind of stuff to happen in the ring, you might as well be smashing fluorescent bulbs over your heads and, you know, cutting each other open with knives and crap. And that's why I, for the most part, didn't like ECW either, because it just became gimmicky. It was all about, you know, breaking people through tables, lighting people on fire, dumb crap like that. Guys that were more pure wrestling, like Rob Van Dam, were a rarity in ECW, really. It was all about, how much blood could be put on screen without it becoming gratuitous. But it was gratuitous. Like, the longer it went on, the more gratuitous it got. I haven't seen Baron on AEW Black, and I couldn't tell you when. The last time I heard, Baron was trying to start his own new indie federation in Atlanta, but I don't know if anything ever came of that. I mean, Baron is getting older and older and older. I don't think, I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to happen for him because he's crossed that age threshold. He's kind of crossed that threshold of age where, and I mean, sure, Diamond Dallas Page did it, but Diamond Dallas Page had a lot of friends in high places, okay? Baron doesn't have that. Yeah, some of the New Jack stuff, especially in ECW. There was some stuff that went on with New Jack that Heyman should not have allowed that to happen. Like the mass transit situation. Heyman should have never allowed that. Should have never allowed. And I know the kid lied about how old he was, but regardless, if the kid had no experience with working with a wrestler like New Jack before, Heyman should not have allowed him in the ring with New Jack. That was just a dumb move. How old is Baron? He's got to be in his late 30s to 40s now. I mean, we're talking about 15 years of history just from YouTube. And he was wrestling back then. So now he's got to be in his late 30s, early 40s at least. Yes, Paul Heyman made a lot of mistakes in ECW. That's why there's no longer an ECW. What do you think of the WWE and TNA partnership? I wasn't aware there was one, but then again, I don't really watch wrestling much anymore. Yes, the Polymega does N64. I have the N64 module, even though I only have 4 games for N64. I said that earlier. Hey, Nick Neal, how's it going? Was Baron a good worker? Yeah, he was a good worker. I mean, he had one match where he basically let a guy fall on his head and nearly break his neck, but other than that, he was a good worker. That wasn't for AEW Dark, though. That was some indie show, and it looked like it was filmed in a basement. I think Baron has a regular job. I can't imagine how he'd be able to afford to live on what he's making right now. Am I going to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remaster? I doubt it. If I got it, it would probably be just because I have 1 and 2 in the collection, and I'd want it for the set. But I wasn't a fan of 3 or 4. Yes, you can make that. You can make that argument, Chris. That's very true. Do you remember why TNN kicked ECW off their network and made a deal with WWE? I imagine Vince McMahon played a part in that. I don't remember the whole story to it. I'm behind listening, but my favorite version of Wayne with a gun was Thomas Wayne from that Flash movie. I don't think I remember that scene. What's your thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows? Haven't played it. Did Jack Move Johnny ever find a job? Not that I know of. As far as I know, he's still living off of donations. Donations from streaming. As far as I know. And whatever money he makes off of Weapon Wheel. Did Vince McMahon buy? Yeah, he bought the rights to ECW years ago. He was basically bailing Heyman out. How much does the Polymega console cost? To get the console and all of the modules, you'd be looking at a little over $800 for all of it. I think the console itself is like $450. I don't remember. I think I paid $500 for mine, but it might have gone down since then. I don't know. You haven't watched the Flashpoint Paradox. I thought you were talking about the live action Flash movie that came out with Michael Keaton as Batman and all that. Clean Frame, you're repeating yourself again. I didn't say anything about it because you didn't ask a question. You just made a statement. There's no question in what you're saying about RVD. You're just making a statement about something you watched. I'm not gonna dictate everything that you type in there unless you're asking a question. So, you can repeat it all you want. If you're not asking a question, there's not a whole lot of point in me repeating it. I'll do it every now and again if it's something I'm interested in, but I'm not all that interested in RVD. I just mentioned him because he was an example of an actual wrestler that was in ECW. Vince did buy WCW. Where have you been, Shadow Deist? That's the main reason for WCW going off the air. One, Time Warner didn't want to deal with him anymore, and two, Vince bought him. He bought WCW and ECW. What do you think the future holds for Ubisoft? No idea. I know you don't care for sports, but what's your thoughts on NBA Jam? Never was a big fan. I liked NBA. I liked Lakers versus Celtics in the NBA playoffs on the Genesis. That's been pretty much the only basketball game I've ever really got into. And that was only because my friend Brandon got me into it. Crap Gamer went from being a shill to being a shill, and now he's still a shill. No, I didn't think RVD was related to Jean-Claude Van Damme. No, you won't be able to find a new Polymega console on Amazon. You have to order it from the Polymega website. Do you think Vince will return to WWE? Possibly, but I would prefer he just stay off it at this point. His presence just brings a bunch of unneeded controversy. Plus, he's starting to look rough. What were the biggest mistakes WCW made that led them to going out of business? Not having a follow-up plan after the NWO story petered out. Not knowing what to do with some of the wrestlers that they were signing to guaranteed contracts. There's just, not spending their money well. A number of different things. It wasn't any one thing. Yes, we've been watching Invincible. You're the second person to ask me about it. I like it, but I thought the ending to the newest season was kind of weak. Fat Gamer's been quiet for a while. Do you think he'll return? If he starts missing the money bad enough, I don't know, man. He made that comment about wanting to essay a chick, and a lot of people lost what little respect they had left for him. And I know a while back, Super Brothers teased them coming back to do a new Best of Both Worlds, and then I don't think it happened. And I don't think it should. I think Super Brothers should just leave that alone. Why all the wrestling questions all of a sudden? Which Blade Runner movie is better? The first one. Thoughts on Vince McMahon getting off the hook legal-wise? Well, you knew that was going to happen. Because it's Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon has his fingers in a lot of pies. No pun intended. What do you think Triple H taking over? Well, it's just as well him as anyone else, really. Do you remember the movie Blood Moon? No. It had RVD in it. Okay. WWE doesn't need Vince anymore. They've been doing successful without him. True. Although, here's the thing. With them merging with the company that runs UFC, what they've effectively done is made it very expensive for just an average person to go to a WWE live event. The tickets are way more expensive now than they were the last time we went in 2016. And it all started when they got acquired by that same company that owns UFC. And now they reserve a bunch of the front row stuff for celebrities that don't really give a crap about wrestling, but they want to be able to say, hey, look, here's Macaulay Culkin. Who cares? Do you like the Ninja Gaiden games? I like the ones on NES. I've never been a big fan of the 3D ones. Favorite sci-fi films? I have a lot. Of course, I like the original Star Wars trilogy. I like the Star Trek movies. I like Stargate, Starship Troopers, The Last Starfighter, Starman. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot. Is Seven Samurai the best Kurosawa movie? That or Hidden Fortress, maybe. Did you go to any live WWF shows during the Attitude Era? No. But I did get to go to one live WCW event. It was right before they were going out of business. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was called WCW Greed. And I was there in the audience live for that pay-per-view because Ric Flair himself gave me tickets to it. Of course, he didn't tell me that he was giving me tickets in the nosebleeds. Well, one level down from the nosebleeds, but still, I was way on up there. Thoughts on Goodfellas? It's my all-time favorite gangster movie. Thoughts on Star Wars Revenge of the Sith? It's the only one out of the prequel films that I actually like and will rewatch. Zaire converted over to PlayStation several years ago. I liked Mass Effect 1 and 2. I never finished 3. What do you think is better, Matrix 1 or Terminator 1? Terminator 1. Do you have any cheesy 80s, 90s action movie recommendations? Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer. It's as cheesy as it gets, but so satisfying. Blind Fury. Check it out. But if you want a really, really super cheesy 80s action movie, watch Megaforce from 1982 or 3. This is 82 or 83. I have that one on Blu-ray. What are the best mafia movies in your opinion? Oh, I just said Goodfellas. Goodfellas, Godfather 1 and 2. That's pretty much it. Casino is so-so. Yeah, I've seen the WCW YouTube channel pop up in my feed. What was your class of choice in Mass Effect? I don't remember having to choose a class. I just remember, recruiting characters into my posse. I don't remember there being any big deals about classes, just races. Of course, I haven't played any of them in a long, long time. How many Starship Troopers films do you like? Just the first one. What's your thoughts on having a backlog of games you missed? It's good. It means that if you run into hard times and can't afford to buy anything new, you still got new games to play because you haven't played them yet. Are you headed up to Retropalooza this year? I won't be attending the one in Houston because I won't have the money to go for obvious reasons. And the main reason I went ahead and bought that with my bonus money was because I'd been erroneously told that Retropalooza Houston wasn't happening this year, only to find out that it was after I bought this, so now I don't have the money to go. If they have the one in up in DFW, I might have the money to go to that one. Because it's now only 2 hours away from me, where it used to be 3. It depends on whether they're able to find a new venue. The venue they used to do it at was turned into a museum, so then they moved it from Arlington over to Fort Worth at the downtown Fort Worth Convention Center, but it didn't go over as well. Not as many people showed up. They didn't like having to book a hotel downtown and then have to walk to the convention center because the hotel wasn't actually linked to it like the previous place. So, yeah, it didn't go over as well, and so as I understand it, Jay is currently looking for a different venue in the Arlington area, but don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I don't have the money to go. I have the time off for the one in Houston because I booked it in advance. Because I've figured if they were going to do it, they were going to do it again for Memorial Day weekend. So I booked all of the Memorial Day weekend off, including the fall. That whole weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I have the whole thing off. I just don't have the money to go now because I bought that Multicade. So, if any of y'all were planning on going to that one to meet me, I'm sorry, but I don't have the money because it's $100 and something a night for the hotel, and then and then there's food, and then there's gas there and back, and not even getting into buying anything while you're there. It's several $100s just to go. I'd love to be there, but I don't have the cash. It would cost me just to go there, not to buy anything. It would cost me about $500 to go, and I don't have $500 to spend on that. Sorry. It happens basically 2 months from now. But I'm kidding. There's no way that you guys would donate $500 in 2 months. That ain't happening. So I'm kidding. Don't worry about it. I've already let Billy and Jay know that I'm not going to be there because I don't have the money to go, and I'm not popular enough to be a paid guest. So and I wouldn't want them to pay for me to be there because I wouldn't be making them any money to be there. No one's going. They're not going to have a line out the door wanting my autograph. No, I didn't like Godfather 3. Terminator 1 and 2 are the best of the T-series. In my opinion, they're the only 2 good ones, really. Do you think Matrix 2 is under... No, I didn't care for Matrix 2 that much. Stutter much? Not really. Do I have an EDC? I don't know what you're asking there. It looks like you included a picture of a water gun. And no, I don't have a water gun, if that's what you're asking. I respect your opinion on The Sopranos, but the show is more than just the New Jersey Mafia boss Tony Soprano going to therapy. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter that that's not all there is to it. That is in there, and I don't care for it, so I didn't watch it. We're getting down to 30 minutes almost 30 minutes left, folks, and we're still $35 short of extending the show. Did you think Terminator 3 was that bad? Well, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good either. What made the Matrix sequels a failure compared to the original movie? It became too much technobabble. Even though the first one was a unique concept, they kept it basic enough to where the average person, not like me, could understand it. The second one is when they start getting into a lot of the techno babble and philosophical aspects of it real heavy, and the newness of the concept by then had worn off, so they didn't have that going for it. And so when you take a film that was so tight and concise, with the perfect blend of action and plot, and then you follow it up with a movie that ends on a cliffhanger and is like massively chocked full of exposition and plot, this is what happened. Then you had Matrix Revolutions happen, where everyone's been waiting for 3 films for Neo to defeat the Matrix and free all the humans so that, life on Earth could start over. And of course, that doesn't happen. All he ends up doing is resetting everything to square one. And a lot of the movie didn't even take place in the Matrix. So I still liked it better than the second one, though. Are most of the Terminator films too repetitive? After 2, yes. Any word from Ultra Steel? He replies to me on Twitter or X every now and again. I'm an everyday carry. I have a sidearm, but I don't have open carry license for it. I keep it for home protection. That's it. They're making a Matrix 5 after the crap that was Matrix 4. I'm in no rush to get GTA 6. I'm not a big fan of the series. I mostly have it for collection purposes more than anything else. Never been that big into it, and the only aspect of it that 8th is into it is playing it online with his friends. I'll talk to you later, 7th. Monday is my birthday. Okay. See ya. Matrix 3 was trash, but it was more fun to watch than Matrix 2 was. Matrix 2 was boring as crap. A lot of people were impressed by the burly brawl, but I wasn't. Damn near 100% of that was CG. So you were watching one CG character knocking about a bunch of clones of another character, and it was just boring. There was nothing to me that was impressive about it at all. Sunday, I mean. Cool, Nick. Happy birthday. What was your experience with the Sega Channel? Not much. I tried it out. Played Mega Man The Wily Wars once. I think I played Alien Soldier on it once, and that was it. And I was like, nah, I don't need this. Are you a PC guy or not? I have a PC, but I don't play games on it. I use it for video editing and streaming and stuff. I don't play games on it. I don't have a Steam account. 8th has a Steam account. Did you like the Oddworld games? No, I never was big into Oddworld. I thought they were weird looking, and I didn't like them, so I didn't play it. Favorite scene from Terminator 2? Probably the escape from the mall. Do you prefer Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Especially Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's not even scary, it's comedy. I love it. I love it. I think it makes a great double feature with Evil Dead 2. what you think about PS5 Pro. I have two of them. I have one on for my game room, and 8th has one for his game room. Do you listen to or watch any video game podcasts or any podcasts in general? No. I do watch Billy when he live streams retro games, but there's not really any podcasts per se that I watch. Doesn't happen. Do you think Brutal Legend could get a sequel? Not this far removed, I don't think. Especially since it didn't do that well. You know, Brutal, it would have done a lot better if it didn't have the stupid tower defense crap in it. If it was strictly a 3D open world action game, it would have been a lot better. They tried to do too much with it and it ruined it. No, I wasn't a big fan of Halloween 2. The whole idea of secret, oh, she was actually his sister. Stupid. Stupid. There didn't need to be a personal connection there. That was just a dumb choice. I don't know why they did that. I do not know why. Do I think PS5 Pro cost? Well, yeah, it costs $700. They're not free. Are you asking, do I think it costs too much money? I had the money to afford it. I know not everybody does. But for people that can't afford it, there's the regular PS5. It plays all the same games. They just don't look as good. I mean, I don't regret paying what I paid for it. Did you like the Rob Zombie Halloween movie? No, because Michael Myers did not need a detailed backstory. The fact that he killed his sister and escaped from a mental institution is all you needed to know about him. You didn't need to see, him living with nasty redneck parents and all this stuff. And that he liked to kill animals and when he was a kid and all that crap. You have to maintain some mystery. And Rob Zombie just ran right over that with a cement layer, No, I didn't like 4, 5, and 6 because, again, it tried to add too much lore to Michael Myers. Part of what made him so terrifying is you didn't know how he kept surviving from movie to movie. You didn't know what was in there. He never spoke. He didn't have any... There was no reason for him to be evil the way he was. He just was. That's what made him terrifying. So when you give him a backstory or you add all this additional lore about some cult of Thorn and all this crap, it ruins it. Can you wish my mom a happy birthday? She's an April Fool's baby. I wonder what her dad thought of that. Guess what, honey? I ain't believing you. It's April Fool's Day. Anyway, happy birthday, Clean Frame's mom. Many happy returns. I hate Rob Zombie. I like his music, all right. Now, I do like the original House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't like either of the sequels, but I like the original. Yes, it's a ripoff of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but I still like it. Do I think Sony scammed people for PS? I just answered that, Harry. I said I didn't have a problem with the price for what it did. I don't regret paying for it. It does what I wanted it to do. How else would you like me to phrase that? There's one thing I'm not a fan of, folks. It's making me repeat myself. No, sir. I don't like it. Don't ask me just different versions of the same question over and over. I get annoyed when you do that. Except for when I know you're doing it on purpose to troll me. I wasn't born yesterday, you know. Don't troll a troll. That doesn't turn out well for you. Anyway. What's going on? We got 25 minutes left and we're still $35 short. $35 short of extending by 1 hour. We've held on to our audience fairly good this time. I mean, would I prefer to be having 100 people on here every night? Sure. Of course, it'd make it harder for me to answer everybody's questions. It'd be scrolling by too fast. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's how it goes when your podcast is basically an Ask Me Anything every time you do it. Do you think there's an age limit for cartoons? No. Except for stuff like My Little Pony. Adult men shouldn't be watching that crap. What has been your Twitter experience since elongated muskrat took over? It works the same as it did before. Except that, you know, you don't get flagged for stuff as much. That's about it. Have you ever thought about playing a brand new PlayStation Plus Extra offering and reviewing it while it's fresh and calling it 7th Recommends? No, I haven't thought about that. Just being honest, I hadn't thought about doing that. No. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to dislocate my own shoulder. It's weird. This shoulder's never been really right because not only is this the shoulder and the arm and forearm that got hurt in the wreck in '95, but they almost dislocated my shoulder pulling me out of my mother when I was born because the doctor was drunk. And so this shoulder has always been a little funky. You aren't a troll anymore. You're a retired troll. You're a great troll, but I still troll. I just do it mostly on X and not so much on video anymore. That kid behind the camera doesn't like it when I point out how obviously scripted a lot of his stuff is. He doesn't like it when I break kayfabe. Because he has to play it, he has to try to play it straight while at the same time letting me know that he's aware of what I'm getting at. So, like, when he announced once again for the umpteenth time that he was getting divorced from his wife, that she was divorcing him, I was like, I posted on X, I was like, oh, the season must have ended. We're in reruns already. And he replied, "This is my life, you bastard." How much was Angry Grandpa staged? Everything except his passing. Everything except the stuff that happened revolving around when he was dying of cancer was staged. It's like I said earlier in the show, the Angry Grandpa show was basically like McJuggernuggets and his psycho dad. It was all scripted. Have you ever thought of streaming on Kick? Nope. Do you think if the next Xbox will have Steam on it, Sony will block them from having it? I doubt it. Because they're making money. Were you a fan of Zombies Ate My Parents? Are you talking about Zombies Ate My Neighbors? I was a fan of that game. I ain't heard of Zombies Ate My Parents. No, he wasn't being serious when he said, "This is my life, you bastard," because he put a big LMAO on the end of it. But I love trolling Michael. I troll him all the time. I've been trolling him ever since I met him at Retropalooza a couple of years ago. He was there with Boogie, and I've been trolling him a little bit ever since. Yes, most of the pranks are staged. Most of what you see on Kid Behind the Camera is staged. It's scripted. It amazes me how many people actually believe that the stuff they see on that show is real. I mean, every now and again there's something that really happens, like some of the stuff that his brother's done, and of course his father passing away. But most of what that happens on that show is on script. Do you miss the pre-smartphone times? I don't really care about it one way or the other. I don't use half the stuff that's on my smartphone. I mainly use it to text people. I don't like talking on the phone. Not a big fan of it. Thoughts on Reanimal versus Little Nightmares 3? I haven't played either one of those. Did you like the Destroy All Humans games? Not really. I thought they were really repetitive. I was not a big fan. I liked the humor of them, but the gameplay loop wasn't very satisfying for me. Just wasn't my thing. All right, we're down to 20 minutes, folks. If y'all want to keep the party going, $35 needs to show up in there in the next 20 minutes. My time is very precious, folks. And it's worth $50 an hour after the first 3. Excuse me, yes, neighbors, not parents. It's been 30 years and I forgot. Well, I don't forget because I've still got it on Genesis on my shelf. Complete in box, baby. No, I don't like the Hitman games because it involves stealth. And for the 1000th time, I don't like stealth games. I say it multiple times every stream. I am not a fan of the stealth genre. Y'all guys have very short memories when it comes to this show. Either that or you're trolling me by making me repeat myself. Do you come across the DSP? No, I don't watch anything about DSP. And I certainly don't watch Kino Casino. Are you going to play Doom Dark Ages? Maybe. I mean, I've got it pre-ordered because I know at least 8th wants it. But I might play it. You know, I liked Doom 2016. I just didn't like Doom Eternal. You don't like a lot of genres. I didn't say I didn't like the whole genre. I said I liked Doom. I didn't like Doom Eternal because Doom Eternal was very formulaic. It was run down a hallway, get in a big arena, have to kill everything in the arena before the next door opens. Go down a hallway, get into another big arena, have to kill everything before the door opens. There wasn't enough variety to it compared to the first game. I am mostly, Bill, an old school arcade gamer and an RPG gamer more than anything else. I do like some first-person shooters. I beat all the Resistance games. I beat all the Killzone games. I beat several of the Halo games, various other shooters over the years. I've never gotten into Souls-likes, though. I did beat Demon Souls, the original one, and I beat Bloodborne, but I didn't plat either one of them. Who's a bigger F-up, Wings of Redemption or DSP Gaming? Right now, I'd have to... Well, I don't know, because I still think a lot of what happened with Wings, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was scripted. A DSP has been, I think they're on equal footing for different reasons, because they've both screwed themselves and ruined their chances to be something more repeatedly over the last several years. Did you go paintball shooting with your friends when you were younger? Yes. I've told the story before about how one time we broke into an old abandoned school outside of Chattanooga, and we're using it as a paintball arena, and then we found out that there was like hobos living inside it, and accidentally scared one of them half to death because we came rushing into the room and we're all carrying these guns, and he about shat himself. It scared the poor old dude. But yeah, used to do paintball. Any idea what Baron does for a living? Nope. Me and Baron have never had those type of conversations. Unlike some of the other people that I ended up going up against, me and Baron never really became friendly. You know, we tolerated each other's presence, but we never became friends like me and Tokes did, or what have you. Me and MLD. It never happened. Not with Baron. Especially not after he pulled that crap of trying to take something I said and turn it into a racist comment, and I had to take him to school and humiliate him in front of the community. Yeah, that pretty much ended any chance of him and I ever being friends about anything. He took that shit seriously. He got really pissed off about that one, to the point where he disappeared from the community for a long time. And then he tried to come back, but no one gave a crap, and that was that. See you later, Mike. Was Baron ever a member of 7thCast? I don't know. Maybe he was. I don't watch it. Not regularly, anyway. I'll hop in every now and again. Of course, for whatever reason, me and Solid Rev aren't on speaking terms either, because every time I turn around, he's blocking my ass. I don't know what his problem is. Dude's grown a really thin skin over the years. Used to, I could say damn near anything to him, and it didn't faze him. Now, every time I make even the slightest trolling comment, he'll block me. I don't know. I think he's going through menopause or something. I don't know. Would you rather be locked in a room for 24 hours with Drama Alert, Wings of Redemption, or DSP Gaming? I think I could deal with Keemstar better than Wings or DSP, to be honest with you. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Shadow. Way to pick up on that. Do you think about Review Tech USA? I don't think about him. I know him to a certain extent because, he came up in the same era that I did. I've been on his show. Me, Solid Rev, MLD, and Black Baron were all on a live stream with him back in the day. Have you ever fished? Yeah, I went fishing with my dad when I was a kid. All over Harrison Bay, outside of Chattanooga. Why did Solid Rev block you? Thought your guys were cool. He seems to have zero capability of dealing with trolling now. And it wasn't even hard trolling. It was really tame stuff. It was really tame stuff. And, he and I would be talking. We'd be getting along and everything. And then I would make a joke at him. And next thing I know, I'm blocked on X. I don't know, man. Have you seen Chronicles of the Wolf gameplay trailer getting Symphony of the Night vibes? No, I have not. I will go check that out later. Chronicles of the Wolf. 10 minutes left, folks. 10 minutes left. $35 short. Is anybody going to swoop in at the last minute to save the show? Who knows? But they only have 10 minutes left to do it. I'm not going to tell you what he does for a living. I don't have any problem with Rev. Rev, for whatever reason, has a problem with me. But you don't need to know what he does for a living. Just like I can tell you I work in IT, but I would never tell you what company I work for. Because you don't need to know. And you don't need to know what Rev does for a living. If Rev decides to tell everybody what he does for a living, that's on Rev. You're not going to get that from me. Whether he likes me or not. Which right now is apparently, for some reason, not. Because at some point after his divorce, he grew a vagina. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is. He's just way more sensitive to being joked at all of a sudden. Don't know why. And, I didn't out that he was divorced or anything. He talked about that on the 7thCast. So it's not like I leaked anything in that regard. I didn't even talk about that. I just made a joke, and it was a joke at him. It wasn't a joke at his kids or anything. And it was about him being sensitive. And he blocked me. Again, it was the second time in a calendar year that he had blocked me for a tweet. Do you think PS5 has been the most disappointing system out of all PlayStation? Just feels like PS4 Pro DLC games. No, yeah, kinda. Yeah, it hasn't had it doesn't have that excitement of every time you turn around there's some new exclusive game coming out for it. That's what made PS2, PS3, and PS4 so great. Is every time you turned around there was some new big thing coming that you get all excited for, and you couldn't wait to play it. What happened to Ice Queen game? I don't know who that is. Did you like Battlefield Hardline? No, I'm not a fan of the Battlefield series in general. I'm just not. I'm not big on military shooters. If I'm going to play a first-person shooter, I prefer like sci-fi. What about Hulk Hogan? Oh, I don't know Rev's real name. I remember at one point somebody told me his first name was Nate, but he denied it. Said that wasn't his name. That was years and years and years ago. So, I don't know what his real name is. El Presidor, I know his name. But Solid Rev, I don't know his name. Yeah, it would be nice to have a Killzone or Resistance revival. Especially Killzone, since it ended on such a sour note with Shadowfall. At least, Resistance 3 was a good game. Shadowfall was garbage. I mean, I liked Killzone 3. Killzone 3 was fine. I would have preferred that it ended there rather than ending with Shadowfall, because Shadowfall was trash. Nothing. I just felt the need to write Hulk Hogan for no reason. Ah. Seventh, do you like boxing? No. Seventh, you strike me as a John. Wrong! Not even close. I'm a seventh. But no, I'm not a John. There's only a handful of people online that know what my real name is. Billy knows it, Jay knows it, and one other person. Well, my first name anyway. Just 3. And really, there's no point to knowing it. You know why? Because if you did know what it was and you tried to look up anything with it, nothing shows up. Because there's too many people out there that has my same name, and so you just get this cross-cut of all this mess. And on top of that, everything, I do very little online under my real name. I've kept those things separate, and besides which, most of my friends that I have that I still talk to have known me as Seventh for years and years, even going back before YouTube. I will remind you, the Seventh thing started all the way back in 1992 when I was 17 years old. I've been Seventh to people for a long time. Do I remember my first online multiplayer experience? I think it was Ultima Online. I think. No. Technically, my first online experience was player versus player deathmatch in Doom over modem. Calling a friend of mine's computer and fighting him over modem. Technically, although that's not true online per se, that was my first online experience. No, Eric does not know my real name. Yes, Sony messed up by investing in live service. You have to go through the first 6 levels to find it. You don't need a hint, Blaze. You don't need to know. Because like I said, I've never much cared for my real name. And so from the time I was 17 years old, I was Seventh. The only people in my life that don't refer to me as Seventh are the people I work with. Have you played any of the Crysis games? Yeah, I didn't like them. You might like them, but I didn't like them. We must entrust 8th to do a name reveal when the time comes. You mean when I'm dead? I don't even want him to do it when I'm dead because that'll still reveal part of his name. Grant a man his privacy, all right? You don't need to know the real names of the people on YouTube. You don't need to know that. Anyway, we're down to the 2-minute warning. I'm not telling you that, Shadow. Not doing it. Y'all guys went from being obsessed with wrestling with being obsessed with my name all of a sudden because of Solid Rev, even though I told you I don't know Solid Rev's name. Do you like Kane's interest music? It was okay. Ever done a drunk stream? Nope. I don't drink. Before, I would have one hard soda during the 7thCast, and that would be the only alcoholic drink I'd have the whole week. But I stopped doing even that. That's not good for your liver. No, it's show me your red, son. Not know you're red. Show me your red. Did you like the Xbox 360? It was all right, but again, my preference was PS3 and remains that for that generation. I just didn't find its 360's exclusives compelling compared to what PS3 had to offer. For instance, I didn't think that the Crackdown series could hold a candle to Infamous. I preferred Infamous a lot more than Crackdown. Speaking of which, it is 9 o'clock. We did not get that additional $35. We only earned $15 tonight. And so this is where I'm going to have to say goodbye and follow my own rules. Even though there's still 24 people watching, I have to say goodnight. The rules are the rules, people. So, be thinking about what you want to talk about next week. And come back with those questions, and I shall answer them, hopefully, as long as I don't get sick or get called into work. And I will see you then. Same 7th time, same 7th.